What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Cul-de-sac and the Neighbors podcast. I'm Mitchell, and I'm joined by Jake Staples.
Hey, everybody. It's about time.
I know. What's up, man?
Oh, just working, man. Just finished up school in December. Happy to get that done with.
Did you walk?
I did because my mom made me. PSU. Yeah, Portland State Business School. Well, they separate the business school from the general attendance.
Okay.
So it wasn't huge, and they even divided that into two. It was probably about 2 to 3 hours.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but it was hot. It's summertime.
Yeah, outside?
It was inside in the brand new Viking. I'm not gonna remember. It's a brand new gym. Viking.
Yeah, you know what? I think Colin's architecture firm that he works for did that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's gonna drive me nuts that I can't remember what it's called. I want to say like Viking Coliseum, but it's not that.
It's not that.
It could be that. Sorry, Vikings.
Let's see. PSU, new gym.
It's something regal like Coliseum, though.
Vanguard?
No, it's not.
No?
That.
All right.
It's like where they play basketball.
Pavilion.
The Viking Pavilion. Told you it's pretty regal.
Yeah.
So it was in there, so they were trying to showcase. I mean, it literally opened the doors the day before. So, I mean, at least they had some good AC going in. I did not want to do it personally. It was the day after Father's Day. We went out with Heather's. I mean, I didn't have a problem with Father's Day, but we went out to celebrate Heather's dad. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go out a beer, maybe two. I was out in Portland until about 4 a.m. the day before I had to walk for graduation.
I feel like some of us said that for James. Did you say that for James' wedding? Like, I won't get too fucked up.
I would never do that for a bachelor party. I know myself better than that. But for graduation, I was like, I got this handled.
Yeah.
Regal day, I've spent, $30,000 to get here. 4 years of shit I did not want. 5 years of shit I did not want to do. I did not behave myself. But overall, it was like the best day. A bunch of people I didn't think would gather and have such a great time had such a great time. My family and friends. Yeah. Like the after effect. We went to Stickman's Brewery in Lake Oswego. It's right on the water. Like on Lake Oswego, boats, like beautiful sunny day, boats going.
That's cool.
It was like really cool, and like aunts that normally might not get along as much were getting along perfectly. Heather's parents were mixed in there. Heather and Nicole were there. Yeah,
I saw both of them the other day.
Yeah, that's what they at Nike, right?
Yeah, for JDI Day.
I don't know what that is. They tell me all these things.
Just do it day. It's like a fucking party.
Every day is a party. They have like margarita machines, dude.
Yeah, Nike's kind of cool like that, but it's also weird because it creates this complex with Nike employees that think like they fucking run the world outside of Nike, and you're like, come on, man.
What I imagine it when she tells me that kind of stuff is that movie, The Internship. That's about the people from Wedding Crashers. Yeah. I forget their names
Vince
right now.
Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Yeah, who I love together. Wedding Crashers is one of my favorites. It reminds me of that kind of atmosphere where it's almost like a college campus. Yeah. But they're doing phenomenal things in the world and like changing business as we know it.
They're doing a lot of stuff, for sure.
It's just a different way to approach business, and I think it's great. Yeah,
it's a cool, it's almost because of the workforce that they have coming in, which is all like millennial, and then soon to be like Gen Z or whatever the fuck is.
What's qualified for Gen Z? Is that under like 20 years old? Something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
2000s? Is that what?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now those are the people who are moving into the workforce. So they have to keep their interest long enough to like be there. Because I've talked to a couple Nike employees who've been there for a long time, but when you talk to, it just doesn't happen that often. A lot of people switch between Nike and Adidas and Columbia, and they just move all over to different ones, the ones that we have here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty blessed. I mean, we have an Adidas headquarters downtown. We have a Nike headquarters in Beaverton. Columbia headquarters here. So if you are in that market, it's kind of nice. It's kind of like if you're in tech and you're in Silicon Valley. You can kind of move around. You kind of have that luxury. Seattle has a small, well, I shouldn't say small. They have some big companies out there. Yeah. But they have a district that's kind of like that, too. One
of the biggest, Or the biggest, I guess. Yeah. Amazon would be.
Amazon's up there. Starbucks is down there. There's a couple other tech companies that don't come to mind right now, but.
Yeah. We have an Intel as well.
Oh, that's true. That's what's interesting about Beaverton, though, is like the socioeconomics of it all. Mm-hmm. It's about it's not perfectly thirds, but it's I mean we live in Aloha, so we know we're kind of bottom of the tier compared to the other parts of Beaverton,
Yeah.
you know? And then there's the biggest part, which is, you know, middle class, which ranges so far. But then there's the upper echelon here that they're
there's a
making
lot.
millions, you know, and everyone knows who they are, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, there's such a big divide. You don't feel it?
Remember that kid who used to drive around in like a fucking Lamborghini? Remember that kid? It's like a
What?
blue Lambo. Like he went to Aloha.
Dude, he was probably way too cool for me.
I can't remember.
Was he
what
a little
his name was.
younger?
Yeah. It was like, why is that 15-year-old driving a Lamborghini?
What a piece of shit, man.
Yeah.
What a great life.
That's what I thought about like when Troy was driving the Camaro. I was like, you dick.
I know. It was so cool.
Yeah.
I felt about that way with all my friends because I was driving around like a 93 pickup. And I was like...
Yeah, my first car was a 90 Lexus, so it was like a nice car, but it was like, it was old.
Yeah.
It was old when I got it.
Yeah.
So
Dude, it had a TV screen on it, though.
it
didn't
did, yeah.
That
It
was
had
sweet.
like the DVD player, yeah.
Dude.
It was a nice car.
It was weird because high school, like, it almost mattered what you drove. Now it's like, you personally, I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's part of that, the high school like culture of wanting to look cool, and because when you start in high school, you can't drive.
Right.
And like a year in, you can people start to get their licenses, start to get their cars. But like if you had your license and you didn't have a car, it didn't matter.
Right. At all, because your friends had one.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's I
Matt
took a
Clay
long
shuffled
time.
us all over the place.
James did for me too.
Yeah. You know, but it makes me think back about all those nice cars. About I don't judge people, but like the parents that are putting their like kids in like brand new cars.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I would never do that for my kid, even if I had it. Like I would.
Yeah.
They're driving a Honda Civic, dude, like a '99 Honda
Yeah.
Civic. Yeah, because I don't want to care if it breaks down. I don't.
That's fair.
You know, I mean, I don't like I said, I don't judge people that did that, but for me, that's not gonna happen.
You get them like a brand new 2026 Camaro, and they just wreck that shit. And
Dude,
you're like,
yeah. Luckily, he was really responsible. Like he was like he was like a man at like 16.
I bet if he was here, he would say differently.
Okay, that's probably fair.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm just guessing.
Right.
Because I always wonder too, like, what people thought about like me or the people that I was hanging out with. Like, what did they think of like how responsible we were or not? Because we didn't really ever get in trouble like after high school or like during it. We didn't really do anything. Middle school and stuff, we did a bunch of stupid shit. And I did do dumb stuff that we never got caught for. So, but like, in high school, we kind of like mellowed out in terms of some things. And we also learned that like, maybe you shouldn't throw shit at cars.
Sorry, Arbor Homes.
Yeah, we terrorized a couple places for a while.
They needed it. They were going to bed way too early.
Yeah, like 9.
Dude, it's
8:30.
like, no, dude, I'm awake. My mom doesn't know where I'm at.
That's fair too. Yeah, yeah.
We were kind of punks back then, but one thing I'll say about like our individual group of friends is we were always like respectful to like other adults. We might have been shitheads outside the house, but like we had a pretty decent head on our shoulders. We weren't the terrorizing people like you said in high school. Like we were over it. We got it out of our system.
Well, yeah, and we never like bullied people.
Never.
That was something that I didn't really notice a lot at Aloha. Did you notice any like bullying? I've talked about that before on the podcast because we talked about 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
And like bullying and stuff, and I didn't really notice much.
You know, I can't say much. I think it'd be, I mean, not to be full of ourselves, we were kind of on the more popular end, so we weren't directly indulged in it. I mean, I noticed some things, and I know I've gone out of my way at least a handful of times when someone's picking on someone. I'm like, what's up, bro? You want to pick on me?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You want some of this, dude?
Yeah.
Because it's just not cool. It shows weakness on the person who's bullying.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I've seen it a couple times, but I don't think it was that bad. I've always thought Aloha was kind of a melting pot of personalities. Like, there were so many different people. I didn't feel like I couldn't hang out with a certain group.
Said that every time. I've said that every time I talk about it. We had a graduating class of like 500 people.
546.
Yeah, something insane. And I feel like there was like maybe 30 to like 50 people that I didn't know by a first name basis, or like, you know, that I wouldn't be able to say, hey, Bob, whatever, you know. I wouldn't know who they were. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Fugitive?
I definitely played Fugitive until someone brought blow darts.
Yeah.
And I was out. Like, people took it to, like, the extreme. Like, I thought the water guns were cool.
Yeah, water guns. Were you with us when we tied up Josh Grigsby to the tree?
I was not there. But I saw photos of it.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. We always talk about that. I talk about that game because that was probably the closest to us doing, like, stupid shit.
Yeah. It was
That's
bad.
a dumb game.
That's a really bad game because some people take it way too far.
Well, yeah, when you start blowing blow darts and shooting frozen paintballs at people.
Like trying to cause harm.
Yeah, trying to really hurt somebody.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Especially when you're normally driving out of a car. When you are playing, when you're the cops on Fugitive, you're in the car. So if you're shooting, we've paintballed thousands of times.
Yeah, a bunch of
You can't control, let alone like when you're out running around, let alone being in a car that's bumping around. You can hit someone's eye that's not wearing head protection. They could be blind, like very easily. I mean, we did some sketch stuff with our paintball guns, but we weren't in a moving car. Oh yeah, Tevin shot the shit out of me multiple times.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And he would totally turn up the PSI too, like to where like he would shoot something and like the sheetrock was like crumbling, and I'm like, you can't hit people with that, dude. And he's like, well, you got 30 seconds to run or not. I believed him.
Yeah, I know. I think it's one of those things where like if we didn't run, he wouldn't have shot us. But then like because we ran, he was like, yeah. But
it was the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like it was like. Because I've seen him shoot people point blank, and like just the biggest welt I've ever seen. I'm like, that's not gonna be me, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I just saw on Facebook you moved to Utah.
Yeah, I haven't really had a lot of conversation with him in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 years.
Me either.
But all I can say is if he's doing that to better his life, like good on him. And I moved away when I was about 19 or 20 because I was.
Where'd you go?
Salem? I went to Salem. So, my mom moved down to Salem right after I graduated high school to take care of my grandfather. Super selfless move. So, I was up in the house at like 19, 20 doing whatever I wanted, right?
Yeah.
So, like, about a year and a half in, I'm like, you know what? I am falling off track, And I've never worried about my future. I've never wanted to. Other people might have, but I always knew I was going to figure it out. I was going to be successful.
Sure.
But one day I remember shit hitting the fan and just calling her up and being like, I need to come move in.
What did you guys do with the house in the meantime? Because you guys still have the house.
I actually still live in the Staples party house.
Yeah, you do now. What did you do when you moved?
So we've had several people within the family rent it. It's a under the table kind of deal, where they get a discounted rate, but we don't have the landlord responsibilities as much.
Yeah.
People we trust. Actually, the last person that's living there now is my cousin Joe, but he just actually closed on his house. Cool. It closes on the 4th.
Oh,
but
cool.
Everything's kind of shaking hands and everything, and so it's just gonna be me there. So if anyone responsible in the Beaverton area wants a place to stay.
I always thought Heather lived there for some reason.
Me and Heather lived there a couple separate occasions for small amounts of time, like never more than like a year. My mom rented out to me first, obviously. Yeah. Nothing stayed too long, but Joe, I think, has been there for like 6 years. Oh. He's got 2 kids, so it's more of a family house.
Yeah.
Then I came back in, I was like, well, we can still have beers on a Wednesday. Old habits, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that house. But anyway, so yeah, I called my mom. I'm like, I need to come crash for, a couple years.
What did you do down there?
I transitioned from one subway to another. I moved all the way up to store manager at this point at one. And then I went down there, got a job, went to Chemeketa Community College for 2 years, working on my associates. And actually, at this time when I moved to Salem, I cut everybody out. Yeah. Selfishly. And Heather, cut me out too. Like, it was just like this meeting of minds where it's like, okay, we're not doing the right things. So 2 years go by, and we reconnect. It's all great. And then 2 weeks after that goes by, and she's been at Clackamas Community College getting her associates. She calls me. She's like, do you want to finish up at Portland State? And I don't even question it. I say, yes, I do. Because before that, my plan was Western Oregon. Yeah. Didn't want to fucking go
gross.
there. Fucking gross. There's nothing cool about
Monmouth
it, dude.
Sucks.
Monmouth fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And so I was going to do it because I really wanted my degree for myself. But when she said that, I jumped on the opportunity. And, at this time, we're now like 22. Our partying's out of our system, for, within respect. And we crushed it. And
22 is relatively young.
We figured it out when we needed to. I mean, I didn't graduate college until 25, which I still feel young. But there's people like James who I think graduated at like 22, maybe even 21. He graduated in 3.5 years, which.
Yeah, because they had to take.
I love James. He's not that smart, dude. I don't know. I don't know how he did it.
He's a hard worker, though.
That's true. Discipline, and he's got the discipline.
Yeah, he put in the time to like really learn, and because of football, like he had to do summer, he had to go to study hall, like he had to do a bunch of different stuff.
That's a good point.
Sets you up more, and I think the bigger thing too, like when you go into the difference between high school and college, for some people, is high school is that place that like you have to go and like be a part of, and you have to take certain classes. And obviously that there is that same thing in college, but he chose something that he was very interested in. And so because he was interested in it, he didn't mind reading that book or watching that video or doing a little bit more research on what was going on, because he knew that that's what he was going to do. Like,
that's a good point.
So like if you know you're like, this is what I really love to do, then you can kind of like get your head around school for a little bit.
Within respect, I think that for me the best part of college was the first day you walk in, they hand you the syllabus, and it is every single assignment and every single due date.
Yeah.
They might move it backwards. They will never move it closer. So it's like you don't have room for error. Even if you had something small traumatic happen, you should have started that 2 weeks ago. You should have started that a week ago. You know, something really traumatic, okay. And I'm telling you, PSU was the way for me to go because I worked full-time my entire
PSU
college.
is good because it's more of a commuter school, for sure.
It is, and it's made for people that are working full-time. So if I showed up late, they weren't looking at me like, oh, there's the asshole who doesn't care about class. They're like, he's out here, like, out there getting his. Yeah. He's trying to pay for some of his tuition. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, it is that way. It's open real late, which was one reason why, like, I liked it and didn't like it, because it never felt like I had, like, a college vibe. Like, it never felt like I was in college.
Yeah. See, I didn't miss that part only because I went later.
Yeah. Right, because it was already done.
But out of high school, I mean, I go back and I read my 4-year plan. It was, like, in my chest, my memory chest or whatever. My 4-year plan.
You still have it?
Oh, yeah. Dude,
you should have brought it.
Dude, oh, dude, no, it's bad. My memory chest or my 4-year plan? Both. Okay, so my memory chest, I just saw in my mom's Salem house, had a little bong in it, so there's that. I had to dispose of that. But the 4-year plan essentially was, I'm going to live at home with my mom. Yeah. I'm going to go to PCC for 2 years, save a bunch of money, then transition to PSU. Pretty much like every parent's dream. Like, they're not going to have to pay a lot of money. It's actually a really responsible way to go about things. It's even
more responsible now because PCC allows for, like, free tuition after high school.
I'm pretty pissed about that myself. I was like, do I get my forgiveness or
nothing.
But no. So that's what was so cool for me to finish up at PSU. It's because even though my 4-year plan turned into 6-8, I finished my original plan.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
PSU has a pretty good business program too, from what I know.
I believe, don't quote me on this, top 5 on the West Coast for business school.
Yeah, I know it's pretty good.
I know the logistics program is actually one of the top in the country. I went for finance, which is just terribly hard.
Is it?
Terribly hard.
How come?
The level of mathematics is just insane.
Well, what do you need then? Because I always thought that it was going to be like maybe some multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, but nothing.
Well, they make finance calculators and obviously like Excel, which you use in the real world.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to understand how those formulas are altered. So what metrics are going to cause an increase, a decrease, to put it in like the easiest way possible. And you're talking about a company wants you to project 5 years out. So you have one projection this year. It can't stay the same. No one goes at a constant base. So you're using somewhat of your...
Yeah, like no one goes $100,000 gain every year for the 5 years or whatever.
And you could say 2%, but guess what? Every third year you've noticed you take a dip. But you have to be able to justify your answer. And once I gave up on precisiveness and being that exact, there's only one answer for every problem. I did a lot better. I as long as I could justify my answer, like I think Coca-Cola, I heard that they're coming out with a new flavor this next year. I think it's going to take off in the summertime. So quarter 2 and 3, I think they're going to spike. And then that's not going to sell anymore. And, normal sales go down this time. So if I could tell you those, and I'm making all that stuff up, by the way. But if I could justify it, my professor could get behind me and he was cool with it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what I always remember about, just because you brought up Coca-Cola and like drinks, I always remembered when Christmas came, we would always get the bottled Cokes.
Oh, yeah.
They always just tasted so much better.
I don't know what it is about the bottled Cokes. I think they still have the cocaine in them.
Isn't that a crazy thing? Like that so many different, Voodoo Donuts used to sell donuts with like NyQuil in them. Like
the same Voodoo Donuts that like.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You can do that?
No, like they can't now, but they used to.
What benefit would that be? I'm already tired after a donut.
I don't know. Maybe it picks you up in some weird ways, like cough syrup shit.
Or if you just stay awake long enough, you just trip out.
I know they have one in Colorado, and I think they were really pushing for being able to sell like
marijuana
ones in them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I assume in the next 3 to 4 years,
will be a thing.
It'll start to be here too.
Yeah, the weird thing about the legalization to me, because I used to be a huge stoner. I actually don't touch it at all anymore because it just makes me weird. I just get so anxious. I eat a bunch and then I fall asleep and I'm like having weird dreams. But for the people that are doing it now are people that never touched it, didn't care for it. Like, yeah. And it's like, they're like, oh, you want a gummy? Like, Jake, I know you smoke. I'm like, dude, I can't touch that weird shit.
You want a gummy?
I absolutely not. Hand it over. No, it's fine. And I just can't do it. It's just weird how your body changes, And
yeah, I hear that. I mean, I wouldn't know specifically on that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who are doing it are people who definitely weren't doing it before. Now that it's become, what the craziest thing that I don't know why this blew my mind. But when I was talking, we were over at James's house for a barbecue, and he was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, like I can't do anything. Like if you're smoking, like I can't do anything because I'm a state officer, and it's legal in the state. But if you're smoking and a fucking like FBI agent rolls in,
right, a federal officer,
you're getting fucked because that federal officer can do whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. So I was like, how does that even make sense?
I've never understood that. It's the bicameral system. Never makes sense to me.
Like, it just doesn't... Okay, so what you're saying is I'm abiding by the state law that I can do this in this state, and I'm in that state right now.
Right.
But because you are a federal agent, you can do whatever the fuck you want, like, because you're federal? Like, that's blowing my mind. My guess is most federal agents probably wouldn't give a shit.
That would be I would hope a federal agent has more to do. The way I think about it is like...
Because if they really wanted to fuck you, why wouldn't they just... Federal agents just walk around? It's
like mom being the state. Mom's telling you, go ahead and do that. And then dad comes home and beats your ass. And you're like, dude, mom told me it's fine. Yeah. It's like, exactly what the fuck? Talk to mom, dude. Yeah. State and federal need to talk, man. Yeah. Because why is my ass getting beat?
Yeah. I thought it was... For some reason, I thought it was like decriminalized now. But I guess that's wrong.
I think they took it down from being criminal too. I've heard stuff about that.
Still Schedule 1 though.
Is it? Yeah. See, I'm not super up to date on this stuff, but I know they're trying to there's a group of people trying to get inmates that have been brought in for small drug charges thrown out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of it should be that way, especially if it's marijuana based. Like, if you go into heroin and meth and shit, maybe we can put those somewhere else for right now. But if you got arrested for, I remember my buddy that I met through Twitch. I met him in San Francisco for the first TwitchCon. He was technically a felon because he was in Kansas City and he had weed on him, and there it was a felony, and so he couldn't vote. And now it's it's legal in a bunch of different states now, and it's such a weird thing.
It can ruin your life. Yeah, and weed's not that bad. Like I said, it's not for me anymore. But I have a bunch of people that will smoke around me, and it does not bother me in the slightest.
Sure.
It's toke it up, dude. Let me laugh at you.
Well, wouldn't you argue that weed would be... I mean, obviously every substance is going to affect different people's bodies differently, but on a general scale, wouldn't you say weed is much better than alcohol?
100%. I used to, when I was regional manager for Subway, I hired a lot of people, and I knew... Because I would look at them on their Facebook. I knew these people would be stoners. Yeah.
Would you be afraid they're going to eat your sandwiches?
If that's the worst thing that happens, I'd rather hire a pothead than an alcoholic any day, because the alcoholic's going to steal your money. The pothead is so paranoid that that they're stoned and that they're going to take a piece of pepperoni. I think you're right with that.
What do you think? What's the weirdest thing you ever caught an employee doing?
Oh God, I have found booze in the fridge.
You're like, who the fuck did this?
One time, I've seen weird dancing. I've seen weird dancing. They're by themselves and just dancing by the dishwasher and stuff.
And then you turn the corner and you're like,
dude, well, because I used to drop in all the time because I lived in Beaverton. 3 of my 5 stores were all in Beaverton, so I'm kind of hungry.
Who were your other 2?
I had one in Troutdale.
Oh, deep.
Yeah, we bought that one really close to me leaving, and then for a little bit I had one.
Murray Hill.
No, that I consider that one in Beaverton. Okay. I had one. Where does James live?
He lives in Newburgh now.
So I had one in Newburgh for a little bit when I first started, and then...
Were you considered district?
It switched a couple times. They went regional to district. It was... Okay, so essentially because we're not corporate, it was... What
do you mean?
So there's no There is a corporate Subway.
Sure.
But corporate Subway services the franchisees. So
okay.
I worked for a lady, and I worked at her first store ever. As she bought a store, and she's like, well, Jake's more competent than any of these other jack-offs.
Yeah.
I was like, how about you let me oversee another store? You know, you don't have to hire another store manager. Maybe give me an assistant manager. And that's kind of how it started, you know.
That's kind of cool. So you were directly talking with the owner.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She and me and her still talk. I'm very close. I mean, I really liked working for a woman in business because I think that they don't get as full of themselves. I know that sounds weird.
No, that makes sense.
But, I mean, I've worked for, you know, she's partnered with various people before that have been men, and they just look at me like I'm just, like, on the bottom of their shoe, and I'm like, I'm making you tons of cash here.
That's how Rudyard was, the guy who owns Cinetopia.
Yeah.
He didn't give a fuck about anyone.
And it's just such bad business, and it's like, you just got to care about people. She actually went to school to be a school teacher, so it all made sense, you know. And she cared about people. You know, if I was ever in a bind, she, you know, it's fine. She was happy to see me go in a weird way.
Yeah.
To move on with my life. You know, she knew graduation was coming.
So was the next step for you, like, if you would have continued down the path of Subway, like, becoming an owner? Like, that's, like, the only real...
So there's a couple ways, and I actually did apply at the corporate level, and it would have been for a pay cut. Like, a pretty severe pay cut. Essentially, I would have gone and I didn't get the job anyways, but I knew what the salary range was. And essentially, it's where you work for corporate and you go and do like secret shops, make stuff up to code. If something's out of code, you follow up on it, make sure it's back in code. If there's any updates, you
like code in terms of like food health code or like Subway code.
I mean, honestly, like at that level of food service, you have no raw meats. There's really not a lot of health code violations. I mean, we get 98s and 99s as our lowest score on public health because we have no raw meats. Our veggies, I mean, there's nothing too acidic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like up to code meaning like brand code.
Yeah.
If you're Subway, if you have a cracked light, you need to go fix that. If your lights look dingy, whatever it may, it's little stuff like that. But other than that, being an owner, and I did have a couple private investors, people that just saw me working at multiple locations, like they're taking their kids, and you can tell, you know, they pulled up with a Jaguar, they are affluent, and they pull me aside and be like, hey, like, what do you do for these stores? And they're like, well, I, you know, like to hear more, you know, and so that was an option, but I never saw that as being working for myself. Essentially, I was already doing that. I was already working for
somebody else,
you know, and so I didn't see that. And I've never thrown it out because I did give it 6 years. Maybe down the road when I have my own money, I might hire a Jake. Yeah. Someone who's just trying to go to school, but, you know, they have potential to run multiple stores or even one store.
Do you feel more like you work for yourself now?
No. Absolutely not. I am doing better financially now, but I had a lot more freedoms then. So it was a lot easier. If you told me right now, like, let's go hit the mountain, take Friday and Monday off, I could probably swing it. Yeah. At Subway. Yeah. Here, not a chance. I need to be there. You know, we're only open for business 45 hours a week.
Yeah. What do you do now?
So I'm a credit officer.
Okay.
So it's very, very similar to being a loan officer, other than I bid on contracts as well. So when I say contracts, when you go to purchase a car loan, so Mitchell's going to buy a car, but he didn't bring a pre-qualified notice from his credit union. Okay, so you just go in, not really your problem. Yeah. The finance guy goes in, and they normally go, have you ever gone to a dealership? Yeah. They go behind the doors, they're talking to the Wizard of Oz, right? Yeah. No one knows what's going on. They put this thing on what most of them use is called Cuddle. It's an online marketplace. So essentially they upload your credit portfolio, the vehicle information, you know, your income, and then people bid on those. Okay. So that's a big part of my job right now is bidding and buying contracts.
So if you bid and buy a contract, don't you still are you considered a bank at that point then?
We're not a bank. We're not a bank because we don't have checking or savings accounts. Okay. So that's the big stipulation.
So then you get an account though.
You get an account
or a contract or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Once the contract is bought, now you have an account with us.
Okay.
And but it's not a checking account. You can't withdraw from it. You only pay into it. But we're a consumer finance company, so that's the big difference between consumer finance and banking is there's no checking savings. Yeah. Which means I'm not, you know, I'm not doing teller work or anything like that.
But it's basically like you guys are buying the car. We are paying you for it.
Yeah.
Because you're giving a loan.
Right. Yeah. Because, you know, essentially my business is accounts receivable. You know, I buy things, people pay me back at an interest. You know, because, you know, the car lots, they're in the business of inventory to cash ratio. Sure. They want to buy these things and they want to liquidate them so they can have some profit and buy another car.
How do companies like yours compete with banks and being able to offer like the same interest rates or?
It's very, very competitive. Primarily we do subprime, so people that have had maybe a couple hiccups, you know, and they need another chance, and the banks aren't touching them.
Yeah.
You know, so we do have kind of more of a niche market.
Yeah.
But with every niche market, it gets saturated. We've been around for 60 years, so we kind of have a first mover's advantage. But it's competitive, and banking is so compliance oriented that you can't get away with any shady business. You know, as much as people think every loan officer is a loan shark, like it's just not the case. I genuinely want to help people and help my business, help my business. Yeah. All at the same thing, you know. But it's very different than Subway. I can't just, you know, not be there or, you know, I don't have that independence or.
But so how you're much different than like from a financial advisor.
Much different.
Yeah.
Much different. I do not give any financial advice professionally.
Yeah.
I did go to school for finance, so if someone wants me to look at 2 different stocks, or if they want me to look at their retirement portfolio, and I let them know I legally can't give advice in the state of Oregon. Yeah. But if you just want a buddy to bounce some ideas off of, I'm all ears. Yeah. Because I love that shit. I get off on that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
I like it too. And I know less about the investing side, more about like how you have to create a budget and how that budget's going to work for you.
You know, and budgeting is what our generation has the hardest time doing.
It's terrible. Because so it's all... Bad. Let me get this. Let me do this. Let me go to the vacation. Let me buy the car. Let me buy all the shit. Yeah.
And I'm a bad example because I just bought another new car.
Yeah, I saw that. You bought like a SUV.
Yeah, it's the Infiniti QX50, I believe. It's just, I like it. I mean, I'm not a small guy. Yeah. And the Audi, like, was it was a sexy car. Yeah. It was very sexy, but it was too
Is that
small.
the same car you let Devin leave in?
No, that was the Nissan Sentra. So technically, I've had 3 cars in the last 2 years, which is very millennial of me.
Yeah. Do you lease it or finance it?
I finance it. Yeah. But this car, I do believe I'll keep for a long time because I can grow into it. Yeah. It's got the all-wheel drive. I can go up to the mountain if I wanted to. Don't know if I would in that, but I could. Yeah. You know, and it's more spacious because I went camping, I think, 4 times this year, and the Audi could not fit anything. I mean, the trunk was so small.
Sure.
So I bought it for the utility, and also I didn't want to lose out on some luxury aspects. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I think that is the hardest part, though, financially, is whenever I say this all the time, I talk to people about it because I'm really into it. I've read Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and a couple of other books, and just talking about and looking up like averages for stuff. Like the average car loan in America right now is $565 a month over a 69-month period, which most of the time people who are getting loans is 60-month period over 5 years, not the 6 years or whatever. And it's just like, it's an insane number when you look at how, if you were to use that $565 a month and throw that into your 401k or whatever, how much more money you could have by the time you retired. Right. It's nutty when you look at what you can do if you're going off the basis that your Roth IRA is moving up at the same rate on average. Right. Which I think there's a couple that are like averaging 12% right now, yearly yield. Yeah. Which is nuts.
It's really high. Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough though. And that's one thing I try not to give unsolicited advice because I know my Roth is good. I know my 401k is good. So I have had people like ask me to look at 2 separate accounts, like, what would you do? Yeah. I'm like, this is what I would do, but what do you want out of this?
Yeah, the thing is Warren Buffett, he always says, like, you can, like, anyone can be rich. The problem is everyone wants to be rich fast. But a lot, like, I've learned that the majority of people who are like millionaires are millionaires because of that investing, like the Roth IRAs and the 401ks, and that's what they did throughout their whole career. And at the end of it, that's how they became millionaires. Right. It wasn't because of money, how much money they were making at the time. It was because they had the discipline to not just blow it all the time. Right. I was listening to one, and the guy was like, I have $16 million. I just retired. And he's like, but I don't know what to do because I've spent my whole life saving. Right. And I don't know how to spend money. And he was just like, well, first of all, good job. And second of all, like, go take your wife on like a $20,000 vacation because by the time you get back, as long as you're not removing all of $16 million, you're probably going to make that money. Yeah. So he's like, just do, like, still be smart and still do what you can. And, it's just really nutty that's how, like, I heard it was that way through, like, investing, and then through, like, inheritance. That's how the majority of people become millionaires.
There's that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
You know, and
I just saw an ad for that, actually.
It's the core concept is wealthy people teach their kids how to stay wealthy.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit of truth there. You know what I mean? It's not concrete, because a lot of successful adults in my life right now came from nothing. Yeah. I mean, I grew up pretty humbly, and I hope to make something of myself. So it's not absolute, but there is some truth there that if you grew up with parents that were a little bit more tight budget, even if they had money, you didn't know about it. Yeah. They gave you a hard time about the $20 to go to the movie theater.
Yeah.
Those lessons right there are better than, you know, the parents that every time you ask give you $20.
Yeah.
Like, because that $20 could have gone in savings or something. With budgeting, the best thing is it's not about how much you make; it's about how much you spend.
100% that.
And that's the takeaway there.
I was gonna bring that up where what I was saying before was when all my friends would be like, I don't have enough money. Like, I'll never be able to buy a house. I don't have enough money to do that. It's like, well, look at what you're spending your money on. Do you go to the club and are you buying $80 worth of alcohol every weekend, or
yes,
are
I
you
am.
like what do you like what are you doing? You know, because I always say this: if you ate in every day of the week besides Saturday and Sunday, and you had let's say a girlfriend or a boyfriend, on the minimum you're spending $20 each day. You eat, let's say one meal, just one meal, $20, $10 for her, $10 for you.
Yeah, and that's
you do minimum. That Saturday and Sunday. That's like bottom end shit.
Yeah,
like you go to like McDonald's and you can easily spend that.
Oh yeah,
like
and
super quick.
She's gonna leave your ass too.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think Tawny and I on Monday drove out. I got off work a little bit early and we went to Camp 18.
I saw that.
Yeah, and
I was really jealous.
The food was super good, and I expected it to be more. Like, it was $50. But still, but then, like, if I did that, I mean, $40 over a weekend over four weeks in a month, that's a car payment basically, you know. And then if you don't do that, if you can just be disciplined enough to not do that, that's $200 to throw at the bill that you have for credit card. Because I had like $2,500 of credit card debt on a Capital One thing that was like a 18 to like 24% variable loan or variable interest, you know. So it's like high. Because it's like the first credit card I ever had.
Right. And you need to get your foot in the door.
Yeah. And so like I had that shit, and so it was pretty high. And then I don't know if it's a federal law. You might be able to tell me more or not. But I know for sure when it gets sent to me, they have to provide how long it will take if you pay the minimum interest and how long, and then give you one other option. And so my minimum payment was like $80, and that was going to take me fucking 15 years to pay it off. But if I push it to $100, so just added $20, it was going to take me 2. Yeah. So it would have removed 13 years. And I was like, that's an insane amount of time.
So was it a loan or was it a credit card? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so when you closed it, they gave you the 2 options kind of thing?
No, it was like on my bills. On my,
it told you what?
It told me like how long it's going to take me. And because I think it was I don't know if it's an Oregon law or if it's a federal law that they have to do on all of them. But I remember, like, I didn't look at it for the longest time. It's like, oh, I'll just go paperless, or I don't want to just throw it away. Like, I didn't use it, like, just toss it. And I looked at it one time and was like, damn. And so since last April, I had started, and besides my car, Tanya and I have been working together. We paid off all her student loans. We paid off mine.
Amazing.
So besides my car, we're debt-free. That's the only thing I have.
That's huge. You're ahead of probably 70% of America right now.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but there's a program called the IDA program. And it's called, I think it stands for like individual development something. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's a state-run program specifically for first-time home buyers. So if you make under, I think it was like 45 grand. If you make under 45 grand, you can get into this program, and that if you can save $1,000 in 6 months, which should be generally pretty easy.
Right.
If you can do that, they'll match every dollar you save with $3. So if you save 1,000, they can give you up to 3,000, so $4 grand. And they can only do this one time, or they can only do this once a year. So they have a 6-month program and a 13-month program. So if you do the 13-month program, then you can save 2,000, and then you'll get $6 grand. So that's what I did.
Yeah,
I finished that shit. So in October, so in a month, I'll have $8 grand for a home, and it stays available to me for 3 years.
I haven't heard of that program. That's amazing. I know there's a bunch of first-time buyer stuff out.
Yeah.
Because as you know, we have some friends in mortgage, and I feel like every time I have dinner with them, they're like, "You can afford a house." I'm like, "I just came for the chicken wings."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's crazy what you could
but
do.
there's grants out there, you know, and that has to be one of your like future board kind of things. Like, you almost have to be kind of obsessed with it for a little bit.
You have to be,
to set up at least the plan, and then you can kind of let go of the reins. But you got to hold them real tight in the beginning.
Well, the hardest part is building the right habit with the money of like budgeting, building a budget. Because everyone's like, "Oh, my budget's in my head." Like that shit will never fucking work, dude.
No.
And whenever I've done it, it's always worked best when I am being obsessive over it. Like if I spend money, like I remember in Excel, I built like a calendar, and so whenever I spent money, I'd put it in. So and then it would filter it, whether it was like food. Groceries, gas, whatever it was, like it would filter it into a column so I could see like, oh, this month I spent $400 on
variable
like
expense.
Miscellaneous shit that doesn't go into anything that I actually need.
Right.
And so Dave Ramsey would say like cut up your debit card and your credit card and only pay in cash. That's his thing, and I can't do it.
I can't do it because if I have, let's just say $100 bill, and I break that $100 bill. It's like now what am I going to do with it? Or like, I guess a $20 bill would be a better example. Yeah. But now I have $4 in cash left. To me, it's either worthless or I'm going to buy something completely stupid that I do not need for $4.
So the crazy thing is what he says is that there has been enough research out there that says that when you spend money with cash, it actually triggers like pain in your brain. Like that. So that's why he suggests it, is because you go, do I really want to break this $20 bill right now? Maybe I won't buy it. But with a card, you just swipe it and you're happy. And
that makes sense. I don't even think about swiping my card or inserting the fucking chip. I hate that.
Do you?
The chip? Yeah, man. I've gone through 2 cards since they made me have one. And I never. They don't look broken. They look perfectly fine. But it says like chip error, and then the people behind me are getting pissed. I'm like, dude, I never wanted the chip. Swipe this shit? Dude, I didn't. And then they say just try it a 3rd time, then swipe. I'm like, why can't I just swipe the first time, man? Like,
yeah.
But you said something interesting that you were obsessed with it in the beginning, and something that stuck with me was a keynote speech when I was like 18 or something, and I was at like a Subway convention, something stupid, and this guy, I think he was involved. Yeah, he started Starbucks, or he was really involved in the startup of Starbucks before it sold off, and he said you have to be obsessed with your success. And I never forgot that because, I mean, a lot of the reasons I don't socialize with most of my friends anymore is like, I'm on my grind.
Yeah.
Before that, I mean, going to school full-time and work full-time, I hardly dated. Like, that was what I was doing. I did have my small circle that I did still see on occasion, but they knew if I need to go hide in my room to complete my paper and then go to work, it's not because I don't like you. It's because, I got to get shit done. I want to buy a house. I want to one day.
Did you buy your mom's house?
She's offered it to me several times.
She's like, get it out of my name.
And
it's just shit.
I don't think I would enjoy it as much now because I didn't do it on my own. I didn't save up, in your instance, the $8,000 or whatever it may be, and put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. Now I would help her in an investment situation where
turn it into like a.
So we don't know where now she's in Salem taking care of my grandfather. When he passes, the house is sold, goes into the estate, and then most likely she'll come back to Beaverton for a little bit.
His house?
He bought a house in cash down in Salem.
So he doesn't have it in someone's will?
So it's the will is to liquidate and then build it all in, because he has a stock portfolio and stuff. So it's just liquidate, go to the estate, divide evenly among the sisters. So my mom will need a place to stay for a little bit.
Yeah.
She will have an inheritance. I personally think invest a little bit of money in the house, sell the house outright, buy her a condo with a very small maintenance yard, and she will live comfortably for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
But it comes into what she wants to do. That's kind of what I said about the financial advice.
Yeah.
Mom, what do you want? Do you want this to be your backyard when you're growing old? Like, if that's what you want, I can help you get there.
Yeah.
If you want to live in a luxury condo, I can help you get there. If you don't know what the fuck you want to do, let's talk about it.
Out. Yeah.
And you can't push these things on people, because I'm very, like, if you told me you were in some kind of financial distress, I'm not going to sleep over it. I'm going to call you every day, and I'm going to say, have you come up with a plan yet? Can I help you come up with a plan? Because it stresses me out. I'm obsessive compulsive when it comes to, like,
numbers and shit.
No, when people don't want to deal with a problem and I care for them.
Yeah.
Like they'd rather be like, oh, I can't talk about it right now. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, you don't have to talk to me about it, but go out there and
Yeah.
figure your shit out. It's like if you see a train come in, I tell you there's a train coming, and you're not getting out of the way. Like I'm gonna leave you to get hit, dude.
Yeah.
Like so.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah, I heard a quote. It was like, if someone's struggling, give them a life raft, but never your hand because they're gonna pull you in with them. And I was like, oh, that's some good shit.
Yeah,
I wasn't even stoned. It was like that.
You're like, yeah, that makes sense.
That was like, oh god, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that is something though that a lot of people do is they do give the hand or they try and do it for them.
Yeah.
And what it always comes down to is eventually when you're trying to do too much for someone who's not really trying to help themselves, it never really works out. And then there's resentment that gets made because you're like, dude, I just did all this shit for you and you haven't done anything. So yeah, I think that's something. I always liked your mom's place.
I love it, and that's the thing. And we were just talking about this. You know, my cousin's moving out, and he's been renting the house, and I'm excited to stay there for a little bit. You know, put some elbow grease in, small things.
Are you in your old room?
Yeah. Sorry, anyone who has history in that room.
I remember that room.
Yeah, we all
remember when
did.
I sent you that fucking YouTube video? The one that's
you're just freaking
one?
out. Yeah.
It was like when you first got a Mac.
Oh yeah.
And
it had the
had
photo
like
booth.
The photo booth and allowed you to like record shit and do stuff. And I don't think people realize, but I think YouTube was like created in 2004.
Yeah.
Like it's a super young company still, even like, 15 years later, it's really young. And for it to be what it is. And so like when you had a computer that had a camera on it built in that could record, like people were just doing some weird shit.
And it had like backgrounds and shit. Like you could be like fake swimming through the fucking ocean, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was, I don't know why my mom got me that laptop. I was not responsible.
Did you took care of it though, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was a Mac, so eventually like
the porn everywhere.
It's just porn everywhere, dude. Mom, don't come in.
Yeah. Yeah. I always remembered, like, I think for the majority of the time, most of my friends were here a lot.
Oh, yeah. This was, it's funny because I texted you for the address, and it's not because I don't know how to get here.
Yeah.
But because when I was driving here, I was like, dude, gave me so much nostalgia.
Yeah.
I was like, I used to walk up and down this. We all used to, it was like a gang of kids. Like, we were like, I felt like 15 deep at all times.
Yeah. I mean, we got away with so much stuff.
I don't know how.
Well, not even like getting away. Like, we were just able to do a lot of stuff. Like, right behind my house is a greenway. It's like a protective wetlands or whatever. But we like built forts. I remember I was with James and we like chopped down a tree with a hammer.
Only James
like, a small tree. We used to paintball back there, and like I remember one time we were paintballing there, and a cop came, and he was just like, "What's going on?" Like, "Oh, we're just paintballing. Like, we just decided to come do that." And he's like, "All right, just don't shoot anybody who's like not playing." And then he fucking left.
Yeah. James would never do that.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, I don't think you can do it now even.
No.
You can't even airsoft outside now.
Right.
We airsofted all the time. It was just never a problem.
All over the place.
Everywhere.
We never thought like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah, and no one ever told us we couldn't. It was just that's
Right.
what kids did. And now it's like if you're 10 and you're at the park with another friend who's 10, you're like child services is like going to be called on you because you don't have a parent there.
It's just nuts.
I'm really I'm happy that we had the freedom that we did.
Yeah.
Were you with me and a bunch of the friends who stayed out like all night, like slept outside? It was like, I think it was you, but it was like
I probably
Parker.
came back to the house, dude, because I was a sucker for a warm bed.
It was like Parker, Dustin, I think.
Was it around here or was it closer to where I live?
House. Yeah. It was like when they were building some of the houses over there. You know that new neighborhood when you go to the right and it goes up towards like Cameron Richards' house?
Yeah.
Remember when they were building all those? Like Savannah Phillips' house? Remember, like that place like wasn't there.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of shit around here
They
that
just
wasn't
kept
there
building
before.
up.
But I remember like we stayed out like all night.
Where were our parents?
I don't know. I talked about this before. It was like one time I was home on Friday, and I think it was 2:30, maybe 1:30, and my mom she's just like, "Why are you home? Like, go do something." Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like I was just gonna hang out, and I called James, and he like came and picked me up, and then we just like drove around for a while and hung out. But it was like, Mom, it's 1:30.
Yeah. Like.
I remember I got in. I didn't get in trouble, but I stayed in one time. I stayed in reading with my mom. Like, not to, like, she was on one couch, I was on the other one. I was reading my book, she was reading her shit or watching whatever.
I imagined some weird shit.
Yeah. It's like, here's this, it's like some Bates Motel. Fucking,
yeah, dude, some popcorn reading going on.
No, I just decided, like, I didn't really feel like going out, but people were doing stuff. So Colin, I think it was Colin, Eno, and Junior. Ray might have been there, but I'm not sure. But they were all hanging out, and Colin was driving his mom's, like, brand new, like, VW Bug. And I remember I got woken up at like 6 a.m. to my mom, and she's like, "Did you go outside? Like, did you leave the house last night?" I was like, "No." It's like, "I was with you the whole time." And she's like, "Well, Colin's mom's on the phone, and Colin said he was with you, and he crashed his car."
No.
And I was like,
Colin.
I was like, "What?" No, I was not. I didn't do anything. And and I remember thinking, like, dude, this is how you know Colin never did anything bad. Was because he didn't even think to include the person who he was like bringing in on the lie to like text me and be like, "Hey, dude, if my mom calls, like, you were with me."
Because he would have done it. Yeah.
And his thought process was, I'll get in less trouble if she thinks I was with Mitchell.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I didn't know to lie.
Right.
And I was just like, no, like, I stayed here. And I always thought that was funny. I was like, but I remember going out and doing a bunch of different shit and just never being caught for it.
Ever.
And then when we did get caught, a lot of times I like got spun around on the person who like caught us.
Yeah. No, she's completely crazy, Mom.
Yeah. No, it was I remember one time, remember Blake Violetti's like crotch rocket, that little bike?
Dude, yes.
Were you with us at James's house? I don't think you were. We were riding it at James's house. Tevin was it Tevin's or Blake's?
Okay, there was always an argument who had the pocket bike. It was between Blake Chase and Tevin. Cause I think they had like split custody. I don't know if they all stole it together.
Yeah. Where did it come from? I didn't even question it.
They told me it came from, like, after they thinking about it now, they definitely stole that shit. But they told me it was given to them by their uncle or something, and I was.
Oh yeah, definitely stolen.
Definitely stolen. I remember we would take it off jumps with two of us, which it is not made to go on.
Yeah, like, dude, there was at no point at all should two people have been on it at one time. But yeah, I remember we were at James's house and we were riding it. And this was like maybe the only time I've ever ridden like a bike or any, like, other than like a motocross bike or like, you know, something that could like really kill me if I fell off, like wearing a helmet. Like, we wore helmets, all three of us. Yeah. And so when we were riding, we were going up, and you know how you can go down James's and it kind of curves back up by like, kind of, I think John Moore lived over there maybe. No,
that's not what you're thinking of. I know what you're talking about. Camilla Hasselman used to live up there.
No, but instead of going up, we were going down.
So we
cross over Bainey. Or is that Bainey?
Oh, yeah. That's Castle Court.
Yeah, I know and then it like curves down and can come back up.
Yes.
So as we were coming up, I think Tevin was on it. We were like on the corner. This dude, like full grown man, we were probably what, 13? 14 at the time, maybe?
Maybe.
He like came out into the road while Tevin was riding it, grabbed the handlebars and like flipped him off of it. And so, like, we probably shouldn't have been riding it anyway, because, like, I'm sure you had to have some form of permit or license if you're on the street, or something. Yeah, doing it. But, like, I remember so the cops got called on that dude. Yeah. Because I don't remember if we called. Like, I know Tevin, James, and I didn't call. Yeah. Like, I don't know if we told Dorothy and Brent, and they decided to call, but it doesn't really sound like
Brent would go kick his ass.
Yeah, and so
he'd go kick his ass.
So I think somebody else saw and then called, and it was like the one time I could be like, oh yeah. Like, we were, like, were you guys wearing a helmet? And it was, like, the one time I could be like, yeah, we did everything right. Yeah, like, we had done everything. So the one time, like, something bad kind of happened, it was like, no. Like, we were doing the right thing. Yeah, and, screw you. Yeah.
That guy definitely got in trouble. You can't be touching other kids,
oh, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't think he ever, like, touched Tevin, but he definitely threw him off the fucking bike.
And touch, in their mind, your property.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, they don't know we stole it. Like...
I didn't know it was
stolen. I didn't know until right now that they definitely stole that.
Did you ever ride that? Remember that?
The cart?
Yeah, being pulled by the bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, we found... This might have been another stolen thing.
Okay, for the record, I never stole anything.
Have you ever stolen anything ever?
Oh, maybe like a pack of gum.
Yeah.
Maybe...
From like the Dollar Tree. I think I might have taken...
Nothing of value. Maybe...
I've never taken anything like crazy. I'm pretty sure.
I have guilt. I have Catholic guilt. Like, shame.
I'm pretty sure I've stolen like gum or candy from like the Dollar Tree once. Right. One time. Were you with us?
No.
Were you with us when we went to Dairy Queen before a football game, and we got ice cream while Matt Clay was in the bathroom, and when Matt came back, he asked us how we got it, and we're like, oh, because we're part of like the Aloha varsity team that gave us free ice cream, and he was like, really? I'm like, yeah, and he went and asked, and the lady had no idea what was going on. Were you there for that? No. Oh man, I remember him going up and being like, oh, can I get my ice cream cone? And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm a varsity football, and he was like, the lady was just like, so what? It was like, yeah, man. I think he's in Arizona.
He's in Arizona, yeah.
Yeah, he's a kid. Well, looks exactly like him.
That's crazy.
At least when I see on Facebook.
Right,
like, that's how I know. I haven't talked to him really. I don't know. One time I was, when was this? 2014.
Okay, where was I in 2014? Okay.
Yeah, I was hanging out with a couple friends, like Sierra Moore. I think this was when I was dating Jackie. No, it was when I was dating Jackie.
I didn't even know you were ever dated Jackie.
Yeah, short time.
Yeah.
But I was hanging out with like Sierra Moore, like Emily Volpe and her at Sierra Moore's like apartment off of like TV Highway.
Yeah.
This dumpy apartment.
Anything on TV Highway.
And
no offense.
He was texting me about like ghost shit. Like he felt like he was being haunted in his house.
What?
Yeah. Like, and it was random. Like I hadn't talked to him in forever. Like there's a lot of kids, like everyone always tells you you're not gonna be friends with the friends you had in high school. Like you're gonna make friends and all that. I think that goes for people who really do go off to college or do something.
Right.
Like my core friend group are the people that I've known, but the people I've known since like elementary school too. Like we just never stopped being friends.
Right.
So even with Matt, it was never like we're not friends. It was just like we're not friends right now.
Right.
Like we're just not in the same group or in the same path of life right now. So like if for some reason you got into or something I was into and I got into something you were into, like we could jump back and be friends whenever we wanted. I mean, it's very similar to us, really.
Absolutely.
I think that James's wedding kind of brought everyone back into the same place.
That was an amazing time. That was so much fun.
One of my favorite like trips ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was really interesting because, as you said, like I kind of fell out. I mean, I think most of you, within reason, kind of stayed a little bit more tight knit.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that ever happened. It was just we're just separate. And if I think at least once or twice a year, I'd reach out to at least a couple of you. I don't know if I know we talked like a couple times sporadically throughout the years, and then James gave me like a personal phone call. He's like, "Hey, I have a wedding coming up." And this and that, the other thing. And then so I started looking up hotel rooms in Gearhart. And then the first thing I do is text John. I say, hey, if I can save us all money and I find us a condo, are you in?
Yeah. And
he said, I'd have to talk to the boys, but let me look. I was like, you don't need, they're good. They're in. Everyone's in. It's going to be freaking sweet, dude.
Yeah, it was sweet.
And compared to a hotel, we actually saved a good amount of money for a nice condo that housed all of us pretty decently. Yeah,
and we were drunk the whole time.
I was hungover 3 days. Nick had it the worst, dude. I thought Nick died.
So, we went to Gearhart, which is on the coast, the Oregon coast. You know what's crazy? Before I continue this, there's 195 countries on Earth. 20 of them have listened to the podcast.
That's nuts.
Or at least one person from a country has listened to it.
That's nuts.
20 different ones. That's pretty crazy, right? So we're on the Oregon coast. We're at the in Gearhart, and we stay at this really cool condo. Like, it was really cool.
I liked it.
It was like a hotel, but it was more. There's like 3 bedrooms, and we were up on like the top floor and loft, and it was like really cool. I remember when I was working at Cinetopia, there was a truck driver named Josh who brought from Point Blank Distribution or whatever. Who did all of our like liquor,
booze,
and shit.
right?
It was all beer and kegs and shit. And so when somebody didn't want something that was ordered, but they weren't getting like money back, he would give it to me, and in exchange, I would give him free tickets.
Right.
Like a lot of free tickets, and I got a lot of free beer.
That's super illegal.
But I don't drink.
Right.
Ever. Like, I really don't.
Right.
And so we were doing, I remember I was just stacking like 24 racks.
I know.
And I brought like 72 cans of beer, and we had only, I think all of us had only planned to be there for like 2 days, and we extended the trip because we were having so much fun.
Yeah.
And so we drank all of it.
Well, yeah.
All of it.
You forgot me and Jesse were going to be there, so.
But we did. But other people brought beer too.
Yeah.
Like we drank everything we had.
It was kind of gross to think
about. And we came very prepared in the drinking category, but not for food. No. Because I remember every night we were like, oh, we need to order something, and everything in like Seaside and Gearhart closes at like 6:30. Yeah. So there's just no food. Yeah. And James gets married on 4/19, so we stay for 4/20, and that's when I first started smoking, and which I didn't really like. I think people have told me, and I think this kind of rang true for me, was that the first time you do it, it's not really anything. Yeah. And so like that definitely was the case. Like I was definitely drunk, and because we barely slept, or the people who did, like when they woke up had to start drinking it again, like right when they woke up, because it was they knew what they were getting themselves into.
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah. Dude, it got pretty rowdy. I remember we got ready, Jesse and I, and we went, and the place where James was getting married was like 50 steps outside of our door.
Right there.
So
you pre-funk pretty hard.
You didn't have to worry about it. And the beach was really close too. And so Jesse and I got there early, and we were just like, I'll go get drinks. And so we just kept drinking before the ceremony started. Remember how bad James was crying up there? Let's make fun of him. I always thought like, you always think like the girl's going to be the one that cries a little bit. But James was like, he's like, Kylie, and like he couldn't get through it. And the thing that I rarely ever cry. I'm not really a crier, especially with like movies or TV or even some of the like sappy shit like that. But there were times where James was crying because I don't even know if I've ever been around when James cried, like an actual like an emotional cry, not like something's in my eyes, like literally like chalk is in my eyes and it's making me tear up.
I mean, I've been best friends with James for like since second grade, so I mean I've seen like young cry, but like that was weird to see an adult man,
because every kid
who's like 7 foot tall, 280 pounds,
yeah.
Like, I can't stop his emotional breakdown.
Yeah, and he like started crying, and I was like, "Oh fuck, dude, this guy's gonna make me cry right now." Like, I was like looking up towards the sun, and I was like, "God damn it!" But yeah, he couldn't get through it for a while. Yeah, I mean, not that long,
but yeah, in general, like you said, I mean, that really did bring us all back together because I don't think there's been a whole month where I haven't talked to each of you since. You know what I mean?
At least one time, yeah.
At least one, and it's never super in depth. It's more like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Yeah. I try to get. I'm pretty bad at it, but. Like you said, there was no falling out. And going that time, we all had such a good time. We stayed, like, we extended our trip.
It stayed longer.
Like, which was crazy.
Yeah. And then you let Devin drive your car home.
Which I did not remember. Okay, so I'm drunk now. It's the night of the wedding. Devin's supposed to go home with his parents because he has to catch a flight the next day.
Yeah, he was going somewhere.
He had to be home the next day. And so he's like, okay, the only way I can stay is like if you drive me home in the morning. I'm drunk. It's like 2 a.m. I'm like, I can't drive in 4 hours. It's not, take my car, man. We've been friends forever. It's fine. Don't remember this. Wake up. Everyone starts packing up to leave. I go out and I'm like.
But it was like, it wasn't like leaving, was it? I thought it was like leaving to the other room when we had to change over.
Okay, maybe that's what it was. But we're packing up. So I like start thinking about like, my way home. Even if we're not leaving that day, you kind of tidy up. And I look at Mitchell and I'm like, dude, I need to ride home. We're on the coast. So we're like 2.5 hours out. Haven't really seen each other for years.
Yeah, I was just like, well, if you ride with me, we're listening to D&D and we're stopping at Camp 18.
And I said, sold. I said, speak no more.
Yeah. Dude, I remember because we have a friend who was with us, Nick, and all of us were, like I said, we were all drunk for like 4 days.
It was a lot.
And and I mean like straight. Like you went to bed drunk, you woke up drunk, and then you just kept drinking. Right. And Nick, I guess from talking to him and talking with people who are closer to him than I am now, he has some form, not like allergic
intolerance,
but really like fucks with his stomach.
Yeah.
And he disappeared for a while, and then at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, when maybe all of us had been asleep for like 2 hours, we hear him like throwing up.
Yeah.
He's just, and
and it doesn't sound normal.
Yeah.
It's not a normal throw up.
I'm just gonna tell the story because it's hilarious. So sorry, Nick, but
we love you,
man. He starts throwing up, and we're like, God damn, like, like who is this? Yeah. And then we start to have to pack up to get into the other room, and I remember he came out, and he's like shirtless, and he's like in his boxers, and he's like, oh, dude. I'm like, are you all right? He's like, bro. He's like, I was throwing up so hard, I just fucking shit myself. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, dude, I just feel so sick, dude. I just shit myself. I was like, what the fuck, dude?
That's a first for me.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? And then we switched into the other room, and someone had already gone in and like opened the sliding door. And we're on the coast, so it's windy, it's kind of chilly. It's only April, and we were blessed with like a really beautiful weekend, and lucky.
Yeah.
But it was still chilly.
It was cold. It was jacket weather. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he like comes in, and he like the breeze comes, and you can tell that he's just so sick because he like just starts just shivering, and then he disappeared again. And then
for the rest of the day.
And I think he slept legitimately for 24 hours.
He did.
Or he was gone for 24 hours.
And we checked on him several times because, like you
got
said,
Pedialyte and like
we weren't prepared with food, so we're all like, okay, guys, let's put our beers down for 15 minutes, go to the store, get some pizzas, whatever.
Yeah.
So we go and check on him. We're like, hey man, like go back to bed, but can we get you anything? Can you eat anything?
Pedialyte,
saltines. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're real fucked up. Like,
yeah, and then he woke up like 24 hours later, and
ready to party.
When we're leaving, ready to party again. We're like, dude,
like you've been asleep for 2 days.
Yeah, like we can't. We're done and we're leaving.
Like we need to check out in 5 minutes, dude. Like get your shitty draws and get in the car.
Dude, you know what? The only bummer of that trip was I had brought James and Kylie a present. It was a cash present, like $100 or whatever. Yeah. And I put it in a card in a drawer in the first room we were in, and I fucking forgot it.
Dude.
Yeah, I forgot to give it to him, and I called back, and obviously it's fucking gone.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Dude, if I was a cleaning crew and someone left $100, I'd be like,
cash.
This shit's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ka-ching, thanks for the tip.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like,
that's shitty, though, especially a wedding gift.
Yeah, because I wanted to do something like, because I did this for Colin when they got married, was I paid for a night at their hotel. Right. So I was like, hey, where are you guys going? They went to like Greece. And I was like,
shit.
Yeah, I was like, well, how much is your Airbnb? X amount of dollars. I'm like, okay, here's the money to pay for a night there.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. That's really
like
thoughtful,
that kind of thing. Because it's like, I'm not going to buy you a fucking like fridge or, a toaster or something stupid. I want to like, because if you're paying $150, $250 a night, and if you didn't have to pay that, now you have that money to either
go to
save or do something
tour
fun,
bus,
go
whatever.
on a tour bus, exactly. So it's like, now it will make at least one day of your honeymoon better, and that's what I was gonna do with them. That's $100 now. Wasn't
well, you made the cleaning lady's day a whole lot better.
Yeah. She's like, oh, we're gonna buy some fucking crab tonight.
Yeah, it's funny because me and Heather just went to a wedding last week or maybe the one before. And I call her and I'm like, we're at the age we have to start buying fucking gifts.
Yeah.
Because like when you're like under 22, people don't expect anything from you.
Yeah.
Even when you go to a family potluck, they're like, oh, that's Jake. He's gonna bring a buzz. Like he's gonna be drunk. It's gonna be great. But like we're at the age, it's like, no, they're registered at Crate and Barrel, dude. Yeah. Like let's go get them a fucking $100 vase.
Crate and Barrel.
Yeah, Crate and Barrel. And so
I thought Crate and Barrel was a restaurant. What's that restaurant?
Oh, that's Cracker Barrel.
Oh, okay.
Crate and Barrel, no. Okay, I'm pretty. The Crate and Barrel is like high end, like here's a $100 vase, like that's what it is. And so we go in there and they're registered and everything. And me and Heather do not look like we belong. By the way, we're just a couple 26-year-olds like who probably get their dishware from like a.
Oh yeah, they do have some bougie shit.
Super bougie shit. Like we bought a set because one of the things on there for him, the groom, was a set of whiskey glasses.
Oh, cool.
Oh yeah, and it was 8 of them, and it was $72.
Yeah, sounds about
but they're nice. They're nice, heavy crystal. We're happy to do it if you're listening to this. But it was just kind of weird because we had never had to really. I've never been to a Crate and Barrel. Like, I've been single. I get ceramic kind of.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it is.
I was looking at some of these tables right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nice, but like not $1,500.
I can make one out of cash money, dude. And formaldehyde.
Oh my god. What was the last movie you saw? Now that we'll just switch the subject real quick, just out of curiosity.
Crap. Like newer movie?
Sure.
Probably Shazam.
New movie. Yeah.
Shazam.
April.
Brother, yeah.
April.
I don't know.
April, May.
So I have Plex.
This year.
Are you familiar with Plex?
Yeah.
So it's like a shell with a music library. My friend, nameless, has a server, and like so I watch stuff later, but it's brand new. We won't worry about who it is, okay? He or she remains nameless. But so yeah, Shazam. I think I watch. I normally only watch TV right before bed.
Yeah, but you always get that shit with like Japanese subtitles, or it's in Japanese, and you gotta watch it.
Sometimes,
yeah.
But if I email said person, they might be able to find a better quality.
I was talking to my buddy who was just on. He had kind of done something similar with, I can't remember what movie it was. I'm like, dude, you're a fucking film major. Like, you can't be out here stealing movies.
Yeah. You're going to lose your credibility, dude.
Yeah, it's like, dude. He's like, well, with that one, I get one.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's
right.
You get one. But yeah, I was just curious because my friend and I had him on Tuesday. His episode comes out tomorrow. He's a film major, so we were talking about movies. So I was curious what you had seen. But you don't watch, like you're saying, you don't have cable.
I don't have
So
cable.
I assume you have like Netflix.
I have Netflix. I have Plex, obviously.
Games? You play any games?
No, dude,
you're just full adult.
No, I'm okay. What do I do? Okay, so I commute. We were talking about
read.
this. I hate
Books on tape and shit.
Dude, no, I'm not there yet.
Oh.
This neighbor's podcast, though. Plug. No. So
Do you listen to it in the car?
I've tried to. I can't figure out my. I can't figure out my Bluetooth in my new car. I'm gonna blame it on that. No, I did listen to
That's so funny.
the newest one last night with Jesse.
Yeah.
So I was nervous because those are some big shoes to fill.
Jesse?
He thinks he's really funny. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's kind of funny.
He's pretty fucking funny, dude. I was
really
cracking up in my room by myself.
The one you want to listen to with because yesterday or Mondays wasn't.
Or
we
Nuts
talked
Fake.
about
That's the
some-
one I listened to last night.
Or Nuts Fake. Yeah, that's the funny one.
Oh my god, I was
yeah.
losing
Dude,
my
and they
mind.
are.
Dude.
Almost all nuts are fucking fake. Like, they're not actually
But when I read the title, I thought we were talking about like testicles.
Yeah, that's what we were going for.
Okay, like the double entendre.
Yeah.
Like I get it. Like, but I was like,
well, that's like the intrigue. Like, what are they talking about? Nuts? Or are they talking about?
because mine are pretty real, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sent you over a picture.
But like cashews come from apples, like the cashew apple, and then they fall off, and that's basically they were the seed, and then I guess they maybe solidify more and then become nuts. But it's the same thing as almonds. Like almonds start in like a fruit, and then later the fruit part of it dies, and then what's left is the almond, and that turns into, I guess, a nut.
Okay, here's the problem of what you're telling me. Let me tell you why it's a problem. I've accepted certain things as absolute. And so the fact that I'm 26 and you want to fuck up nuts for me, dude,
That's what I said.
Is making me question a lot of other things,
Yeah.
and I don't want any part of it. I can't handle the shit I know.
Yeah, it was. They were telling me this. I'm like, no, and I would Google. Like I was like, I Google cashew, and the first thing that comes up is just like, it's a nut. I'm like, there you go, bitches.
Yeah, fuck you.
It's like I solved it, and they're like, no.
Here's a
Start
YouTube video, a
reading
4-hour
into it.
documentary.
Yeah. And
read a book, Mitchell.
And we all did. And we all like watched and read shit, and we're like, oh my god.
They're not just fucking.
They're not
It's
nuts.
not Jesse being Jesse.
Yeah, like
sometimes he
real.
says some shit, and you're like,
yeah,
that's
he
not...
does. The other day, he texted me. He's like, what do you think leeches think about?
Fuck.
And I was like,
what'd you even respond?
I said, yeah, I'll look it up. But I gave it a good response though. Hopefully I don't type. There we go. I was like, leeches be like blood, 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 pizza, blood, blood, move, move, blood, blood. I'm sure that's what they think about. Yeah, no, this is why he said it. He says leeches have 32 brains. That's why.
Did you look that one up?
I didn't look it up, but
I'm gonna need you to look that up.
But
I need a fact check. We need a fact checker in here.
Worms have like 5 hearts.
I know that to be
Yeah.
true. That's why if you cut them up when you're trying to put them on a hook, they keep moving around. You're like, dude, can you just chill out?
How
Move
many
once you get in there.
brains
Land me a fish.
Yeah, this is. Here we go. The internal structure of the average leech is divided into 32 equal segments. The thing has 32 brains.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's just
Like what? And it's like, how did he find that fact?
I don't want to know. I feel like he might have like an app that's like random fact of the day.
Oh yeah, that's true. Cat fact.
That's a thing.
Yeah, but it's cat. It's literally cat facts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we used to do to like mess with people. Was we would use their number and sign them up for cat facts. So then it would randomly like text them cat facts.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Dude, I wouldn't even know what to do. I'd be
Cat
like,
fact number.
oh, God.
What my cousins used to do, like when somebody like really made them mad and they wanted to fuck with them, they would put a Craigslist ad up for a monkey for sale with the person's actual phone number in LA, like the Craigslist LA.
Dude.
So they would just get blown
For a
blown
monkey?
up. Yeah, and they're like, "What the fuck
And
is
then
this?"
PETA shows up and is like, no.
Yeah.
This is my monkey.
Yeah. Those can only be in zoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" He just randomly texted me that. I think that was the. I text him. I asked him for Nick Brockhoff's number because it was his birthday the other day, and And to talk shit about Nick some more, he didn't respond to my text, which pissed me off.
Not even like the next day?
No, not at all. And this was 2 days ago. This was on the 17th.
Fuck you, Nick.
It was like...
Remember that time you shit your pants?
Yeah. No, it's everywhere. But yeah, I texted him, and then I said, thanks, and said, gotta wish the kid out. He said, I wish him happy birthday. And then I said, damn, we old. And his next thing, which was 40 minutes later, was leeches have 32 brains. He didn't go, did you know? It was just, leeches have 32 brains. And I said, don't worms have like 8 hearts? And he was like, dude, what the fuck? And I was like, how are you? Like,
how's your more outlandish than yours?
How is my fact weirder than yours?
I'm gonna need to subscribe to that thread. Jesse Bresser, if you're listening to this, add me to the thread.
Dude, I wonder if that's a thing that I could like put together.
Like random facts?
Like a portfolio of like Jesse and my like weird text threads, because I've always felt this way about myself, and you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but people would always say, like, when people said weird shit, I didn't ever really like shut them down. I almost like doubled down on the weird shit that they said to make it like funnier and just to continue going. I think Jesse does a good job of that too.
Right.
And so sometimes like he'll text me that, and I'm not just like, I don't go, why are you fucking telling me that? I just go, well,
here's another one.
Have 8 hearts.
Yeah, my dick's bigger than yours.
Yeah. And a lot of our conversations go that way.
Yeah.
Like where he'll just say something or I'll say something, and we just continue off on
he's one of the wittiest people. Like,
yeah, you know who's gotten really witty is Doug.
Really?
I don't know if you ever really hung out with Doug.
Not heavy. I mean, we hung out through you mostly. Like, you know what I mean? Or like other people. Yeah.
Do you feel like I was like a hub for people?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, and most definitely to the basketball team in general, too. Like, especially that group more than anyone else. Yeah. Because, I mean, I played basketball spring ball, like, maybe 4 times. You know what I mean? Like,
you played, remember 5th grade Jayhawks?
Bro, we were
That's how we met? That was the first time we met?
No, we met 4th grade football.
Was it 4th grade football that we met?
Bob Fracci's team.
Oh, it was Bob's team, yeah.
But then we never really met because you're wearing a helmet. The only way you know each other is masking tape on your head. So I was like, oh,
but just has a last name.
Yeah, and I only remember because Tevin made fun of me because my last name was Staples. And like, he was like, what, you get stapled all the time? I'm like, dude I'm like in 4th grade, I'm so sensitive. I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Dude, that's such a like 1990s like joke that a kid would say. Oh, you get fucking stapled? His last name's Woods. You get lost in the fucking woods,
That's what I said back. I went home, I told my dad, and he's like, you gotta come up with something better. Like, you gotta say this. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And like, I walk up to practice, you know, like a peacock.
Yeah. I remember, though, we got closer in 6th grade because we were on the same football team in 6th grade, and we were in the same hall in middle school. And I remember we were in the same homeroom. And so for the first, like, month or two, you didn't have different classes in 6th grade. You had homeroom, and that was it.
Right.
And we were, like, I remember I was sitting next to somebody, and everyone has Jake is such a common name that was like my name, and there was like 6 Jakes.
Oh, 100%.
And so you just sat in the one that was like next to me.
Yeah, I was like, and it probably was for Jake Stark because it was Jake S. And I'm like, fuck Jake Stark, dude.
I guess this will just be the episode where I tell stories about stupid shit that people I know have done and like silly things.
Did he shit his pants too?
No. Okay, so we went camping with Brad Worth. Okay. And so Jacob Stark has a twin, Kyle.
Correct.
They look pretty similar, but when you really knew who they were, that you could tell them apart.
Their parents color-coded them blue and orange, by the way.
So yes, exactly. So you could tell which one was different that way. But also Kyle had like I don't want to call it like a stronger face, but like almost like a meaner face. But it wasn't mean either, but it was just like a
cheekbones
or something. It was just a slightly different. And the way he talked, too, was a little, like, harder, more aggressive a little. So you knew who it was when they started talking. But I think I've talked about this on the podcast before where they would switch places. Yeah, like, in class. Like, sometimes, like, you'd have Jacob in class and some guys, Kyle would just fucking show up. And the teachers would know nothing. Awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. It's the best thing ever. Because sometimes, you know, it's like, oh, you know, Jacob's here. And it's like, oh, we get Kyle today. And you get excited when Jacob comes back. But we went camping with Brad Worth. We went to Fort Stevens. Which is like a state park, I think. I don't know if it's a national park. I think it's a state park. It's like where there was a lot of old, like military stuff.
Right.
And so we were hanging out, and one of Jacob, we were like climbing trees and doing all different sorts of shit. There's like a lake you can fish on, but we were like climbing in all the fucking back places of Fort Stevens, doing whatever. Boys. And Jacob jumped down from like a tree that was probably like 10 feet, and he like rolled his ankle. Didn't break it or anything, but rolled his ankle. So his parents came and picked him up. So then he left, and then it was me, and I think it was me, Brad, Colin, his friend Devin, so not Devin Smith, but his friend Devin, and a couple other kids or whatever. And we went and played football on the beach. And Doug, Brad's dad, is always wanted us to like talk to different people, specifically girls. So these 3 girls come walking up who are like pretty cute, definitely our age. Right. He just like grabs, you guys want to play football? And they were like, okay. And they just played. And so then we found out that they were just a couple campsites down from us. Oh shit. So we started hanging out and doing stuff like that. And long story short, like one night, we 3 of us, so Devin, Kyle, and myself, sneak away from the group in the campsite to go skinny dip in the lake. Okay. With these girls. And so a lot of times I talk about how music doesn't, like, I don't know if you're this way, like music doesn't really move me. Like I don't get like emotional with music. I don't really attach a lot of music to memories a lot of times. I do with some songs. So Tonight's Gonna Be a Good Night by like the Black Eyed Peas. Yeah. And like Fergie and shit.
Summer Nights.
That's the one that like for that song that was like popular at the time, that like whenever I hear that song, I think of like that camping trip. Right. Okay. So that's the base of what's going on. Okay. We leave, they're staying longer. Mm-hmm. So we want to go back because we want to hang out with these girls. Mm-hmm. So Kyle and Jacob say, hey, you want to go to the beach with us? We have friends from church that are going to drive down. I say, yeah. Ask my mom. Yeah, whatever. We leave. Right. We go, we hang out there, and Seaside and Fort Stevens are a decent, not too far, but you need a car. It's like 20 miles or something like that. Yeah. So we go over there, and the girl that I was talking with, her mom was the one who was having the camping trip, and she had bought a bunch of food because she thought all of us were coming. Me and Kyle are the only 2 people who show up because other people had to leave, and Jacob stayed behind with their church friends. Jacob fucking leaves us, the church group, and Jacob leaves Kyle and I at Fort Stevens and goes fucking home. No. Leaves us there. Okay? So we're stuck at the beach by ourselves.
With these random girls
been
naked once or twice.
Yeah, that we've known for 4 days. Right? Now, I have to try and find a way to get home. And Kyle's...
There's no Uber at this time, right?
Yeah, and Kyle's... I have no money. We're like 15, 16.
Oh, yeah.
And so I start calling people that I know who can drive. And so I like text like David. I text a bunch of people like, hey, can you come pick us up? Because obviously at that point, like I don't want to call my mom and be like, hey, mom, I'm stranded at the beach. I'm stranded at the beach. I need you to come pick me up.
That's last resort.
That's last resort.
That's the nuke.
I call everyone else. No one can pick us up. So I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck we're going to do. And so Kyle finally, he was acting a little weird. But like not weird enough for me to be like, that's so, like in the situation we're in, like, yeah, I get it. Come to find out that Kyle and Jacob had asked their parents if they could go, and they said no. So they had told their parents that they were going to Washington Square Mall with their friends. No. And they had to be, the reason why they left us was because they had to be home in time to go to youth group.
Oh, not be naked with girls.
Not be naked with girls. So, I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I was like, and I didn't know until I got like home. Like, so no one told me. So
at first you were kind of mad about Jacob leaving.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, you left your twin brother at the beach. Yeah. Like, your parents are gonna be like, where the fuck is your brother? And then so his dad comes and picks us up, and it's super fucking awkward. And so I put my headphones in on my iPod and just listen to my fucking music, and I just zone out. And I get dropped off, and my mom's like, oh, hey, she like comes back and or comes outside, and I go in, and she's like, hey, did you know that they weren't supposed to be there? And I'm like, no. Like, I had no idea that they weren't supposed to be there. And that was when it solidified that Jacob and Kyle were the 2 dumbest people I've ever met in my entire life. Because if you're trying to get away with something, you show up late to fucking youth group, and you don't leave your twin brother 200 or 60 miles away from home. Like, with no way home. What are you doing?
And you had just no idea. Like, you just thought Jake left.
And so, yeah, because their mom called my mom and said, hey, did you know that Mitchell was at the beach? And she goes, yeah, he asked me. I said, it was fine.
Yeah, like a normal kid.
And
We're
then
15.
I find out that I'm the only person
who told their mom,
who told their parents that they were going to be somewhere. All the fucking youth group kids didn't tell their parents either.
Ain't that some shit?
And I was just like, well, you know,
I'm the best one, Mom.
And then I've always been open and honest with the majority of what I do, like
within reason.
Yeah, like so. I never really got in trouble because I always just said, like, this is what I'm doing. And I would always got the okay because I built that trust.
Right.
And then I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why are you guys doing this shit?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to get away with it?
Think it all the way through. How are you going to get away with this trip?
Yeah, just be
Washington
late.
Square, for reference of people that don't know, is a
20
mall. 20 minutes away. This drive is what, 2 hours each way?
It's like an hour and a half.
Okay.
But also depending on how you drive. Mm-hmm. So like if you're a youth group kid who's like maybe 16, you're probably driving the fucking speed limit.
Yeah.
It took Tanya and I 40 minutes to get to Camp 18.
Okay.
And Camp 18 is at mile 18. That's why it's called Camp 18. So it's 18 more miles to the beach. So another 20 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
But you know, Fort Stevens is a little bit further than that, but like, just don't go to youth group. Just show up late. Get in trouble for not going to youth group.
Not for leaving
your brother at the beach. Like, what the fuck?
So did his dad say anything in the whole car ride home?
I don't know because I put my headphones in and I didn't listen to shit.
You didn't hear like wah wah wah.
No. Yeah. I don't really. I think it was pretty quiet. Like I think because his dad knew that I had the okay to be there for my mom, he just didn't want to like just blow up in front of me. Mm-hmm. But
because you did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I didn't do anything
wrong.
You're
15. Like that's what you're supposed to be doing when you're 15. Hey, Mom, I'm going to the beach. You don't need to tell her the whole girl part. I mean, did we tell them?
Oh, she knew.
Oh, did?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I'm going to get naked with this girl, and we didn't do anything that when we got there too. And when we went skinny dipping, it was just skinny dipping. Like it wasn't anything extra, which it could have easily turned into, but it didn't.
Yeah,
it was just we're gonna go skinny dipping in this place because that's what 15, 16-year-old kids do.
Yeah. Awesome story.
Yeah, it's cool. And then later, come to find out, I get banned from like the Worth camping trips. Like I'm the one who all that shit.
What?
Like of the skinny dipping and like the
when
weird
his dad's
shit
the one who puts the girls on you.
Yeah, but like so that's what I always say. That's what I always say. But then they were like, "Well, you guys fucking snuck off." I'm like, "Yeah," but then I find out like the Stark's on the camping trip the next year. Devin's there, and I'm like, "Why is it me?"
Yeah.
Like, why was I with the one? I was like, I'm the one who supplied the fun.
There's always someone who takes the hit for these things. You know
always the person who leaves first.
Okay, we've been saying that for a decade, and it's true. If you leave first, I'm pinning everything on you.
Yeah. We don't,
I'll stay all day long, dude. Yeah. I'm not leaving until someone else leaves first.
Yeah, it was always that way. When we caked Punky's car, it was Dustin
dude, that was
did
fucked
that shit.
Yo, dude, he got...
We had to go over there and apologize. And
that was so bad, because I was dating her at the time. And you guys were like, we're going to go, like, fuck up someone's car. And I was like, you can fuck up anybody's car but my girlfriend's.
Yeah.
She was at this party. She knows we had cake. You can't throw cake on her car.
And we threw away the thing that said, like,
Jake Staples.
Yeah.
They threw the cake box that had, I think, either my name or my mom's name 20 feet away with a trail
it was like
of cake.
Literally in their garbage can, I think.
Dude, she texted me. She was so pissed. And she's like, did you not think I was going to find out? I watch CSI like every day. I'm like, first of all, not the time to bring this up, but that's not really CSI level shit. Like, you didn't find me killing people.
Yeah.
And I was, okay, for the record, Punky, if you're listening.
It's like Hardy Boys.
I was not
there
with them.
Yeah.
At all. I don't think she ever believed that I was not there.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you weren't there.
Gidget, you're listening to this? Was not me, dude.
Dude, I remember the one time we went over, well, not the one time, but like the first time we went to Punky's house, and this was before they moved to the new place.
Right, the old house.
I think it was for her, you know what's weird? Is like we always called her Punky, but I think now she goes by Francesca, so I don't know what the fuck to call her.
We dated for a little bit, so it turned into Francesca, but Punky was always more comfortable with like what she's been called.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, how are you gonna just change your fucking name?
Yeah,
like,
you're Punky.
Do that?
Yeah.
Do you go to the courthouse?
But
like,
but I was with Tevin, and someone said Gidget. He's like, "What the fuck's a Gidget?"
Oh yeah.
And she was like right there, and she's like, "That's my fucking name."
Dude, Gidget was awesome.
Yeah, she's super nice. Her dad was kind of an asshole, I think.
Always.
Yeah, it was kind of like the typical dad.
He was just kind of a hard ass.
Did you see Spider-Man: Homecoming?
Yes.
You know Michael Keaton, who plays like the Vulture.
Not ringing a bell.
He's a bad guy.
Okay.
In the movie. The main bad guy. That's who Punky's dad was to me, without the villain side, like without being the Vulture.
Yeah.
Like if it had came out that he was like something like that, but I could fucking see it.
Dude, he always treated me like I was trying to fuck his daughter, and this was like when I was in like middle school, like when sex
like,
was
no,
not
dude, I just want to like touch her boob, like
maybe a side boob, like on the outside of the bra, dude. Like, come on, chill out.
Yeah.
No,
I know exactly. Yeah, he always just reminded me of the guy who's just like, where like almost all of our, like I never called Dorothy Mrs. Usher.
No.
I didn't call Brett Mr. Usher. I didn't call Larry, or all these people. Like,
so weird.
I didn't call them. I never called them by Mr. or Mrs. Like it just wasn't how we grew up, and it wasn't even like the parents didn't even expect that. But
they wouldn't want that.
He kind of made me feel like maybe I should be calling him Mr. whatever the fuck their last name is. What is their last name?
His is Igo, I think.
What's hers?
Hers was Lopez, I'm pretty sure.
Oh shit, it was Lopez.
Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't remember.
Dude, I was really deep in those archives.
Dude, some stupid shit.
Dude, I called Dorothy, James's mom, Mrs. Usher, one time, and I thought she was gonna slap it out of my mouth. Like,
really?
She just did not like. No mom wants to be a mom. Like they don't want to be considered. They want to be a woman. They don't want to be a girl. So Dorothy is plenty. You know what I mean? So I think that was the only time.
Do you remember? So Ryan Detlefs was raised to call like parents, sir or ma'am. That's what he was raised to always do, to be polite. Remember Miss Kopacek, the math teacher in 6th grade?
Yeah.
He would call her ma'am, and she would lose her fucking mind. Like, she'd be like, do not call, like, because it made me feel old.
Yeah, she was on the cusp of being older.
Old. Yeah. And so he kept doing it, and she was like, do not call me ma'am one more time. And I can't make this shit up. He was like, yes, ma'am. He got fucking obliterated. Like, oh, you idiot. And that's something Ryan would do.
Yeah. Well, and I remember that about him, though, because I know I've heard him say that a couple times.
Yeah.
Dude, no, man. Won't do it, man.
Oh, man. What's another childhood memory that you remember?
I just remember doing a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah.
Just a lot of, and we were all always together because you kind of touched on it. You and me became friends in middle school, But then in another hall, we had Tevin and John and James commingling at the same time.
Yeah, it was kind of like the friends that I had, before I got to middle school, were in a separate hall for me.
Same with me.
So I had to make friends. That's where I met Colby, where I met Michelle, where I met Eno, all these different people.
And I think that's why they do it. Middle school is really the first kind of, because.
Do you think they calculated that much? Or do you think they were just last names? This hall needs
I don't think they calculated
B.
it into even thirds or anything like that, but I think they probably took some kind of
Our
consideration.
Hall was definitely the smartest.
By far.
Yeah.
C-Hall, C-Hall morons.
And the teachers they got kind of not so good.
Shimmick, bro.
Fuck them. Just a bro.
Dude, he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, just super nice guy.
Yeah.
But a bro.
Yeah. Well, he was play card games, which is actually, that's how I learned math.
That's what,
my dad taught me.
What was the science teacher?
Sitter?
Was it Sitter?
Oh, no, he played volleyball?
He played card games with us at lunch. After lunch.
Fisher?
Maybe. I can't remember who it was.
O'Neill.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on our side. It was on their hall. We played spades. And remember, I don't know if you ever played with us. Maybe.
Spades is never my game.
We played spades, and we would bet certain shit. So it'd be like
a pudding cup?
No. Bad shit.
Oh,
it would be ranch and ketchup and mustard and everything mixed. And if you lost, you had to eat it. And I remember, I think it was
Dustin.
Was it Dustin?
Dustin Johnson had to eat some weird shit.
I think it was Trent, though, where he was having all this sauce, and Devin shoved that shit down his throat, and he threw up. He was like, what the fuck? I can't remember who it was. They would know
Trent
instantly.
That'd be a good one, dude.
They knew instantly. James and Jesse would know instantly because they keep making fun of me about it. They're like, you want to play games with this fucking guy? And they would get in trouble by him. That's the class that they would get in trouble.
What's his name?
I can't remember. Jesse will tell me on.
Fill me in on. Put me on the thread.
Yeah, he.
But remember that turned into a game. It was bet you won't, or if you're hard. I think it was called If You're Hard, and it turned into this game thing. It's okay, you get a buck. Everyone throwing a buck. Dustin's gonna eat some weird shit.
Yeah,
I'm like, that money well spent, dude.
Yeah, you just watch your friend just eat
some
gross
weird
stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's crazy stuff. you wrestled in high school, right?
Yeah.
So did you wrestle? You started freshman year?
So I started wrestling because Kersley was the freshman football coach.
Yeah.
I'd always played football. And I wasn't very fucking good. I mean, I'm athletic, but my hand-eye coordination wasn't there. I'm not catching shit. I'm not running the ball.
Bad.
I wasn't bad. I was a good defensive, fundamental player. Kind of how I was in basketball.
Yeah.
But I wasn't an all-star. I was a good teammate, good
Yeah.
player. So, and then
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Weren't superstar, but you were a kid who could play.
I could be like, you could throw me in. I'm not going to do something stupid. I could do good passes, make an open layup, you know, whatever. But, Kurt's like, you should come out for the wrestling team. I was like, oh, I've never done it before. He's like, well, that's what beginners are for.
Yeah.
So pretty much forces me into it, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because my first year I was JV, and then halfway, and then
do they have team do they have varsity and JV
so there's 14 spots on a wrestling team, and then 14 weight classes, if you will. And then, so if you're in someone's weight class and you want to be varsity, you have to beat them the week before.
And it rotates every day, right? Or every week.
No, I mean, me and Michael Tanner were always varsity. You know, like certain people.
But how many people were beating your ass in practice, though?
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
But they had the opportunity to, and that was my favorite thing about that sport. Is if some young guy wanted to come for my name and come, okay, bring it, dude. And
but that's what I mean. Is like, yeah, you guys were always varsity, but how many people were trying to step into the circle and challenge you all the time? Yeah, because they're like,
fuck that. So okay. Anyway, so Kersley brings me in. The first year, I don't lose very many matches, but I'm at the JV level.
Yeah.
And then my sophomore year, I didn't wrestle JV one time.
Varsity the whole time?
The whole time. It just came naturally because boys always fuck around.
Yeah.
Like, and all my friends were bigger than me. I was always like really petite until probably sophomore year. My shoulders dropped. And I mean, my best friend growing up was James Usher.
But even then, you were still shorter, smaller.
Yes.
Guy, yeah.
Yeah. And then junior year is like, okay, now I'm naturally like 173 and like 5'9", so I pretty much have no neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What were you wrestling at?
Okay, so I'd start the season at 171, but I'd have some summer chub. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But I would, by state, be like 145.
Oh.
Yeah, and I didn't have that much weight to lose.
That has to be a competitive weight class.
It is, especially in the Metro League, because you're getting middle linebackers that are dropping weight too.
Yeah.
You're having people with no necks, and then, I won regionals, because my senior year they switched it from districts to regionals, so they added like another half of district, but then they allow one more person to go to state. So it was kind of, instead of I think 8 teams, or no, instead of 4 teams, it went to 8. So like it doubled. We had Century added.
Aloha, Beaverton, Sunset, Southridge, Westview, Jesuit. So those have been our 6.
Jesuit doesn't have a wrestling team, but they added Century.
They wouldn't.
Forest Grove, Hillsboro. What's the one with the G? It's right around there. Glencoe. So like another 4 teams essentially. And so like all of us seniors who've been working our ass off are like, how are you going to change the script on us? You know, it's a lot tougher. I ended up beating Alex Hoffman, who me and him were both captains.
Yeah.
We were tied for our high school records of facing each other. He'd beat me twice. I'd beaten him twice. And so this was our 5th time going against each other.
Where'd he go?
Southridge.
Okay.
So we're both captains. This big deal. We're actually buddies. Like when we're not facing each other, like we're homies. We sit together. And
that's what I love about wrestling and like mixed martial arts is that's how it usually is. I'm sure there's some people who have bad blood or whatever.
If you're good, you know the other good people on other teams, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna have beef with you. You're probably gonna beat my guy, and that's fine. But I'm gonna throw your guy in his face. But yeah, so I ended up beating him in regionals by 1 point, and it was just crazy. So, but yeah,
all because the best you placed in state.
I never placed in state because by that time I was starving, dude. I was so hungry, and I wrestled just more or less for my school. Like I didn't really care about like my personal placement. It was more like I brought home the regional championship to Aloha.
Because the way that worked was points wise, right? Like it wasn't necessarily like you didn't have to win every match to win regionals. You just had to get enough points. Is that how it works?
No. So for the team, yes.
Yeah, for the team.
For the team, yes. Individually, you do have to win almost every other match. I think you can lose one, go through what's called constellation.
Yeah.
Maybe bounce back to
but for teams, like you could get to like 3rd and 4th, and if you like, as long as everyone on your team was placing like 2nd or 3rd, and some of the other schools were going like 4th, 5th, and like maybe a couple first places, but you could still win.
So, and this might be a bad explanation.
Didn't we win like regionals and districts all the time.
Every time I was there, baby. Plug. No. No, we had a really good team. But so how it works is that every time you got a pin, I think it was like 16 points. Let's just use that number. So then I go in the next round. I pinned all my way to the
16 or 16? 16 points.
16 points, sorry. Yeah. And then so if I got another pin and I actually pinned my way all the way to the finals, that was 6 each time. Now if I lost in the semis, you lose those points.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. So really all the points are for the first placers.
Oh yeah, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I don't want to say I wasn't supposed to win, but like this, I got my ass kicked by like 8 points the week before, which is a lot of points. And I came back and I beat him. And so somehow like we won.
Yeah.
And it was because it was tough. We were like really nervous about it. Hillsborough was there.
Yeah, it's a lot more teams, a lot more people that participate in it.
Yeah.
Probably people you weren't familiar with because you probably didn't wrestle much throughout the season.
Well, you had to wrestle each team at least once. So it's called a duel.
Yeah, but even senior year when they decided to add more teams, were you also wrestling Hillsborough too?
Yeah, because there's invitationals, and you know, because there's this website, I forget what it's called now. I want to say it's like the OFC or the Flow or something.
Yeah. And
it has the state rankings. So everyone. I mean, I was always ranked like, I want to say 5 or so. Because I would just smash. And then
did you ever think about doing MMA?
No, I don't want to get punched in the face, man. And wrestling's just really one aspect.
You helped me with that for a little
bit. Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the sport. I would like to get into something similar just for exercise purposes because I enjoy that kind of stuff. Like, I could hit a boxing bag a lot more than I'd want to run on a treadmill.
Yeah,
I hate
for
the
sure.
fucking treadmill, but it was a good experience. But I mean, the weight loss part is really unhealthy. So if I have a son and he wants to do, I'm gonna make
especially for wrestling.
Yeah, I want to make sure that he has the nutrition education that he needs to be like, hey, you don't have to starve yourself, just eat chicken and vegetables every day.
Yeah.
And you'll naturally lose that weight the same way rather than binge eating and binge cutting.
Yeah, for my first fight, I didn't really cut weight at all. Like I fought 170, which is welterweight, and
those are some big boys.
Yeah, they are big, but in amateur stuff, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are taller.
Lanky.
So I fought the guy I fought was 6'4". Like I'm barely 6 foot.
Right.
So he has a huge reach advantage.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I say this all the time. I should have lost that fight.
Yeah.
Like for sure. Like the guy had done training at some place in Portland. I can't remember what it was called.
Premier.
Yeah, and a decent place. And he don't even doing it for so long. But his coach was Nick Ghilardi. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right. But like, I haven't had too much interaction with him. But we're friends on Facebook. Like he's still he's still a coach for MMA.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys he coached was Journey Newsom, who just had his first fight in the UFC recently.
Wow.
Who now has like a 3-fight contract with the UFC. Because he came in on short notice, I think a week, like 7 days. You want to fight? Because someone got hurt, and he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And so like he's a part of that team, and so he was coached by him. And I didn't know shit then.
You didn't know about
anyone was.
Right.
And it didn't really bother, but I was super nervous. I'd never played any type of sport that it was just me. I didn't wrestle. Mm-hmm. Because basketball was at the same time. And so we were doing shit. And so I was just like super nervous. You locked a cage. It's like all my training came from was like, I did a little bit of conditioning stuff for basketball in the wrestling room. Mm. Like people I knew, wrestlers were getting ready, so they would go down and work out. So I was like, I'm gonna go work out with them because I'd rather, just similar to what you said, you'd rather punching bag for cardio than you would run on a treadmill. So I'm like, I would rather, fucking wrestle than
I remember
go
you coming
run
down.
track.
Yeah.
And so, or like run around fucking 2 miles or whatever. Because in my opinion, it's a decent form of conditioning, but basketball's sprint based. And that's what wrestling conditions you for.
Right.
Is pushing and then being able to relax and then pushing really fast again, being able to relax. In my opinion, you might say otherwise. But
no, it's 6 minutes, but that's 6 minutes. It was a full match. It's 3 rounds
basically 6 minutes of sprinting. Pretty much.
And muscle, like as strong as you can. You're lifting as hard as you can. You're bending as hard as you can.
Tactical.
Yeah.
So it's mentally fatiguing. So I was like, I'm going to do that. And I'd never done any of it before, but I remember being like some guys who had been doing it for like 3 or 4 years. Like I was like double leg take, like tossing bitches. And so I was like, okay, that's fun. Like I'm having fun.
Yeah.
And so then I decided, okay, basketball's over. The school year's over. I need to do something. And UFC was kind of reaching its peak of being popular.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll hit some bag. And then I started getting stuff. And started getting into it. And there's an amateur league at the Roseland Theater. Like, I'll try. And so I just did it. Won my first fight. If you guys want to, you can watch it on YouTube. Just Google my Mitchell Balfe and it will come up. Both fights are on there. And the second time I fought, though, I fought at 155. So I cut, and I usually walk around at like 175, so I cut naturally 20 pounds.
Like and you're not a thick guy. You don't have like a lot of
I'm not super thick. Yeah, so like I cut a lot, and I remember and I did it pretty. I did it pretty healthy though, like because I had a decent amount of time. Oh, okay. I think I had like 3 months.
That you could do it the right way then. Yeah. But even then, you're still losing a lot of fat, which fat is fuel in some ways. So
yeah, I remember being really bitchy.
Yeah.
Like, don't fucking talk to me.
Yeah.
Like that kind of shit.
Irritable as shit.
I brought like a candy bar to weigh in. So once I weighed in, I remember I was really nervous to not weigh in at the right weight. Yeah. And so I did an Epsom salt bath the night before. Yeah. And cut I think it was like 6 pounds of like water weight. So when I got there, I was like dehydrated as fuck. And you weighed in the morning of the fight. So I had time to eat. So like I ate the fucking candy bar. I'm like drinking shit. I came home like carb loaded. No, I felt great.
Oh, did you?
Because I researched stuff to eat beforehand. So because I had never done it.
You're not
I wasn't being an idiot. Yeah. Yeah. And that fight I felt way more confident about. And I did way better. Yeah. And I won by TKO that fight. And then I won by submission my first one.
It's weird because you touched on something too. I don't know if you use like anxious or nervous or tingling.
For sure.
Dude, I would pee 14 times right before a match every single time. We all did it. I'm like, I don't need to pee. I don't even have water in my body right now, dude. Like, I'm dehydrated.
Yeah,
it's the most nerve-wracking thing. They have the lights on you. They lock the cage.
Oh, I'm in a fucking cage with 500 people. I would guess in between 350 and 500 people. Yeah. Like an
with
insane
spotlights and
cameras, like everything.
The girls with the signs.
Yeah, every fucking thing. And I'm, I was really nervous, and I got in my first fight, I got kicked in the head.
Like standing up, kicked in the head? Kicked in the head?
Yeah, like he kicked me in the fucking head.
Dude, hard? Like full contact, or like it nicked you? No, I'm trying to get a visual right now.
It definitely hit me. I was about to shoot for a takedown, and then he kicked, and it got me in the head. Oh, shit. And to be honest, I don't remember being dazed. While I was fighting, I don't remember seeing stars, having to recuperate. I was kind of
adrenaline's
I was kind of just I got fucking hit in the head, and then I kept going. But since then, I don't I remember it because I've watched it so many times, but I don't really remember it.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it's part of being kicked in the head or just having the adrenaline and nervousness. And the problem was that the green room for all the fighters was downstairs, so you had to walk down 70 steps. And I was I had to hold. I'm fucking shaking, because it was nerve wracking. It was exciting and adrenaline dump. And those were only 3-minute rounds. Yeah. The first one didn't go the full 3. I won before the end of the first round.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and then the second time we went into the second round, and I was tired.
You were gassed. Yeah.
Yeah, I was tired, and I was on the bottom for a long time. Yeah. And so then I finally got up, and there was 10 seconds left, and I remember being going, I lost that round. In my head, I was
I need to knock this bitch
yeah,
out.
I hit a couple good striking things, but once we got to the ground, I was on the ground for probably a minute and a half to a minute 45, and of a 3-minute round, that's control. You fucking lost that round. Yeah. And so I was I need to do something, and I heard the fucking clack, 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 the things to symbolize that there's only 10 seconds left, and I threw a Superman punch, and I hit him
Superman
again.
Punch?
Yeah, hit him again, and he's he got fucked up. And I remember because his nose was bleeding, they couldn't get to stop. He bled all over me. Yeah. And this was the first time where I was blood smells terrible. It stunk.
I've never had enough of it to realize.
Yeah, I was
smell.
Wow, it stinks. Or this dude's blood stinks like shit.
He's got some in his blood.
Yeah. Luckily, you have to be tested.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I just remember being this. I was so happy that I had wrestled and done stuff with I did stuff with Michael, I did stuff with Zach, did stuff with Nick, I did stuff with you, Tanner Crail. I basically was just anybody who can come over, or if I had the access to the gym, right. I just tried to do whatever I could. It was fun. I was always bummed out that nobody wanted to really do it with me. Yeah, because I was this could be fun.
Well, and what's nice about you grabbing all those different wrestlers is each one of us had a very different approach.
Style. Yeah, and I never fought anybody who was a wrestler. Yeah, so it
can be scary, because you see good wrestlers performing well in those things, and you see sometimes it's
Yeah, Zach and Nick were the two people who were there the most, and this was when Tanner Crail let me have his. He got a old wrestling mat,
from
Yeah.
Loa, and
Right.
he let me have it.
Yeah.
So it was like an 8x8 wrestling mat. So it's big, pretty big, and went in the garage.
Yeah.
And I remember Zach would come over for like 3 hours, and we'd work on like specific takedowns. And I remember I had the perfect chance to use it in the second fight, and I got the takedown, but I just did it wrong.
And you
It was
ended up on bottom.
No, I was on top, and I got full mount, and then it did end up turning.
Yeah.
Because I like had a chance to get an armbar, and I just messed up with the technique. But it was, I think it's called a seatbelt takedown, but it was basically like one leg. It was like you have one leg in between yours, and you're holding him
Oh,
up.
a sweep?
No, because you're holding him here, and then you like pivot one way, and you throw your arm on their lower back, and then you can arch and flip and turn. It's
I
like
don't
a
know.
throw.
It sounds sick.
Yeah, I remember watching it, and then
sick,
he was showing
yeah.
me and watching, and I did like 80% of it, but I didn't get the right turn to really get the good arc in. But yeah, I just remember being like this. If basketball and wrestling weren't in the same season, I would have wrestled.
Totally.
But
yeah,
it was a bummer. Now I'm gonna ask you something because I need to know this confession if there is one. Do you remember?
No.
Church camp.
Okay.
In
I
the
know what you're gonna
cabin.
ask. Yes, there was a demon there. Is that what we're going?
Was there?
Okay, I didn't see a demon in the cabin. Okay, go ahead and tell the story, and then I'll answer.
I've told it before, but so for people who maybe haven't listened to that episode, basically, 8th grade year, I always went to church camp from 6th to 8th grade, and this church camp was a Presbyterian church, and it was really cool. It was in like Yamhill, Washington, or some shit,
really
out in
cool.
the boonies, and out in the middle of nowhere, and it was there was a lot of activities to do, and we were on like maybe I think it was like the last night or the second to last night. We were watching a movie, and I think it was Princess Bride. And Jake and my friend Tevin came, and we were in the, I think it was, what color were we?
We were blue,
camo?
dude. You can't
Or
remember?
blue? Yeah.
Bro.
I can't remember.
Blue squad.
I can't remember, but apparently it was blue. But Jake and Tevin didn't want to watch the movie.
Sucked.
So they left, and they were going up the hill, and it's like this kind of gravel path that then opens up into a clearing of grass that also has a gravel path around it. It's a field, and there's like goals to play soccer, and around that is all the cabins for all the different teams for the guys' spot. And you guys had come back telling me that there was like an orb in the like field or something. You guys saw something.
An orb? What do you say, orb?
Like a light. That or something.
Okay.
I don't know if that. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering it correctly. But you guys had come back telling me that you guys were scared, that you guys thought you had saw something or done something. You're like, please come back. Right? Do you remember that?
Okay. So I remember that. I don't remember any talk of an orb.
Okay.
Or orb.
Yeah.
So this is my thing of the story. So we go to this, church camp. I grew up Catholic, so it's not the same, teachings.
Very
but
close.
Very similar. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone who says it's different maybe takes it more serious than I do. But so they want to play this movie. I'm not really into it. Tevin's not really into it. We're like, we're going to go back to the cabin. The cabin's pretty cool in there. We got some stuff to do. And we start walking, and he says, oh, shit, do you see that? And he says, oh, shit, at church camp. And he, like, grabs my arm, and something ran across that same gravel road you were talking about before it opens up, across the gravel road.
Okay.
And my stomach instantly hurt, and my heart dropped.
Yeah.
Could it have been a raccoon? Potentially, but it looked more like a Schmeagle. Like, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, like, it looked demonic, dude, and my body chilled, and, like, I got this, and I'll take that to the grave. I saw something crawl across. I don't know what it was. Maybe I was spooked from all the Bible teachings that day about demonic stuff.
Okay, but you would know the size of, like, Smeagol and a fucking raccoon, or, like,
It was bigger than a raccoon, for sure.
Okay.
But do I know it was some kind of demonic creature?
Yeah.
Of course not. I can't speak to that.
But do you remember when we got into the cabin?
The sock, I had nothing to do with the sock. Okay,
That's Tevin.
I wasn't there when the sock was in. I can tell you that, but I think it was Blaine.
Because he was sick in there? You think
he was in
it?
there?
You guys fucking conspiring.
No. Okay.
I need to get a hold of this guy.
Dude, I haven't talked to Tevin in like 5 years.
Yeah.
So, but I think he would tell you the same thing. I don't know what I saw, but I know because I'm still spiritual. I don't practice Catholicism anymore.
Yeah.
But I do believe in a congregation of a bunch of young teens and stuff like that, that if there is something true as demonic and evil spirits, that is the place that they're going to try to penetrate.
Yeah.
And again, I don't practice not hoodoo voodoo, but I do believe, if you do believe in that stuff, that is the place to attack. So, arguably, I know I was either so spooked, and maybe it was just night, and even if it was a raccoon, I would have been spooked, but I don't think I would have felt it in my inner core.
Yeah.
As much as I did.
Yeah.
Okay, but then anyway, so we go back, we get Mitchell because I'm pissing my pants. Tevin's freaking out. Tevin's eyes get big as saucers.
See, and okay, so this is the thing is that Jake wouldn't really pull like a prank like this. This isn't really a prank that you do. This is a prank Tevin would do.
100%.
And Tevin might talk you into doing
100%.
Yeah. So I'm like, but in the time I believed you guys. But then like when I saw die written on the wall and socks, it's like, this kind of weird.
Yes.
Like I feel like maybe they're making it up so that when I come, I would see that. And then that would be the thing that would spook me. And it turned into, and this was the thing, was like, if it was a practical joke, I could see why neither of you guys said anything because it turned into like a big thing.
Okay, so
at the camp, like everyone came and was like, what the fuck?
Okay, so we go back to the movie because F that dude. And we get Mitchell, and Mitchell's like, you're so dumb, dude, like whatever, like da 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 da. So we stay at the movie. We walk back, and I haven't gone back to the cabin. I didn't cross that gravel road before it opens up to where the cabins are.
Yeah.
And so then we all walk back together, and that's when I saw the word die, D-I-E, written on like a kind of a sticky corkboard, like it was with socks.
So it was like wood that's like kind of grainy, so that you can like kind of stick to it.
I can't explain the texture, but it was stuck there. Now we had actually a friend, I think we've hung out with him a couple times since, Blaine, who was sick in the cabin. He never went to the movie, but he was like actually very religious, and I don't think would play a prank. I don't think we had cell phones to text out there.
Didn't.
So at this time, none of us have been there, and the word die shows up. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Unless Tevin did it before we left to even go to the movie.
Like, he never admitted that to you.
Never once.
Yeah. Man.
I know you were trying to get me to confess him, but the closest I can get to confession is...
Because I feel like it's been this way for I'm like, it's like 20 years.
Dude,
like,
it's been going on. It's been going on for 15 years, and a lot of people have asked me, like, about it. You know what I mean? Because Tevin told the story, and they're like, okay, like, you can tell. I won't ruin your story. It's like, dude... I saw something that hurt my stomach and my chest, and...
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think when does that make me feel better, kinda?
When I think about it now, I think, you know, because I don't practice, I think it more likely was an animal. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at that time, being... I
mean, in terms of probability.
And being as enlightened as I was in that exact moment.
Yeah.
And knowing that if I was to be approached by a demonic creature, it would be right then and there.
Yeah.
That really played into it, and I was really freaked out for probably a couple
And that's the other thing, too, is like Tevin... well, I don't know if I'd ever seen Jake like really scared, but Tevin didn't really get scared much either. Like,
right.
He would always be the person who would like push past the boundary. Yeah. And you'd be like, fuck, well, I can't leave him alone.
Yeah.
Like, I have to go with him.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, it seems kind of real, but also, I don't know. I'll tell you this dream before we end it.
Okay.
Okay. And this was very recently.
Yeah.
I'll tell you two. So the first one was when I had, my room was in that room there, the one that you changed in earlier.
Right.
And so my desk was turned this way to the door. So when you walked into the door, you would walk into the L-shaped desk. Right. This was pushed up against the wall. Okay. Then my bed was in the corner of that wall near the window.
Okay.
Okay. So my setup was very similar to how it is now, with the two studio lights that were behind my desk to like illuminate the green screen that was on the wall behind me.
Nice. Okay.
And have you ever had sleep paralysis?
No.
Okay. So this was the first time and the only time I've ever had sleep paralysis. I'm like dreaming, kind of. I'm not really a big dreamer either. Since I've started smoking, I've dreamed a lot more.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really a big dreamer before. And I remember waking up in my bed, and I didn't have the feeling of like something sitting on my chest, or, you know, like I can't move, but I remember like not being able to move. So I didn't have that like panicky feeling, but I could like slightly turn my head, and in between the two lights was something staring at, like looking at me, like a dude.
Like a person or like an animal? Well,
it wasn't like, it's not like, you know, like a goat head or anything, but something staring at me. And I remember it freaked me out so much because then I couldn't do anything. And, you know, like my eyes are adjusting or whatever. And I remember pushing myself into the mattress, and I woke up by going, oh! And I was like, and then nothing was there.
Dude.
And I was good. Right? So that's the first time I've ever had sleep paralysis, and I've never had it since. For those of you guys who have listened, you guys know my house used to be fucking weird. Like, it had something, and this is why I've never had trouble believing in God at all. Like I've never had any second thoughts. Like if God, what I've had questions in terms of like how are the stories being told?
Right.
Like why would things happen the way that they say they have in the Bible? But that has never like strayed me away from being like I believe in God. So and because if there's evil,
you
there
can't
has to
accept
be
one
good.
without the other.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there's Satan, if there's demons, there has to be something on the other side. So I'm sleeping in this bed now, and this was only a couple days ago.
Okay. I'm getting the fuck out of here.
I was having this dream, and this is the weird. So I'm having this dream that I'm camping in the woods, and it's like the redwoods. I've never been there, but it's like really big trees and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I learn somehow that like dinosaurs still exist, or dinosaurs are around, and so we had to like sleep in the tent, like really quiet. So have you seen like Jurassic Park, the second one?
Yes.
So you know how like they're camping and they like leave the food out and the T-Rex kind of comes or whatever.
Right.
It's like similar to that kind of feel. And then like things change. You know how dreams like it's really quick. Apparently when you dream, it's literally like seconds before you wake up.
Right.
Like or a second. Like you wake up, but you have these
but
really
it can feel like
all
stories.
these stories. Yeah. And so we're all of a sudden we're at like this cabin house next to this river or lake or whatever. And we're hanging out, and apparently it's like my aunts and people are there that I can't really remember who it was, especially now, even though I've told the story, like I don't remember who everyone was. And then there starts to be this thunderstorm, it starts to rain, but when we go outside, it's not like normal thunder, it's like this blue staticky thunder.
Dude.
And it like starts to light parts of the house on fire. And we start to like put it out, and then this girl that was there is like fucking, doing the fucking wiggling shit and going, and I go over there to like wake her up, we do this, and then I wake up, like actually wake up, and like right where your bag is like another thing like looking at me, and I
like when you wake up and like
I'm awake, and I
I
literally turn over, so I flip towards that door and just put the shit over, because you remember that movie on Disney Channel where you had an imaginary friend, and when you stopped believing in the imaginary friend, it turned into the boogeyman, and the only way to like stop it from getting you is putting the covers over you? Remember that movie? That's exactly how I felt. I was just like, yink. And so when I woke up, actually.
So you slept like that?
Yeah.
Should I get a hotel room?
So I had a hoodie that was on the door, like right here. And so then when I woke up, I was like, well, maybe I just saw the hoodie. But then every time like I've tried to convince myself of that, I'm like, I don't know. Like it was something different. And Tanya, my mom was cleaning the garage, and like maybe 2 days ago, Tanya and I were watching TV. Tanya's my girlfriend, which you've met.
Yeah. She came to my birthday.
Yeah. We heard like a knock or like something fall, and it was from the opposite. So the garage is over here. It happened from the opposite side of the house. Nothing, no one else is in the house, and we're like, this shit's fucking weird, dude. So I don't know. It has been weird. And then every time I think of stories or things like that happen, I always go back to that night at church camp where I don't know what is true, what's been
Right.
a story. And for the longest time, I was like, I think Jake and Tevin have told me this story for so long that they feel like they can't tell me like really what's happened.
Dude,
because then
I would tell you.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like how you felt. Like kind of tell yourself about the hoodie. Is it the hoodie? It could be the hoodie, dude. At that time, it was not no damn raccoon.
Yeah.
Could have been now.
Raccoon's pretty small though.
Dude, this was a schmeagle.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I do firmly believe in what you were saying, where it's like if you, because not everyone who goes to church camp believes in God. A lot of people go to church camp to see if they believe in God, or if they can be,
or their parents made them,
or whatever, or
they
can kind of be swayed into believing, or maybe they're just very curious about what it is. They've been in church, and now they're in 8th grade, so they're like 14, 15 years old,
Right.
and they're starting to go, okay, I can kind of make it my own for my own mind, but I've been in the church for long enough that this would be a good place to do it. Yeah, so I agree that would be a perfect place for like some form of like spiritual attack or like weird shit to happen. And no offense to Tevin or yourself, but neither of you seem that enthralled in the actual like teaching too much.
Right.
So like if I'm a demon, I'm approaching Tevin for sure.
And he's with Jake, so I mean, buy one get one free, dude.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I think if they were telling me this story, they've told me this story for so long that they're not gonna like back down from the story. But hearing from you saying like it scared you to like your insides, that to me says that that part was probably true. The die, if neither you or Tevin did it, was probably Blaine. That would make the most sense.
I don't think demons like leave a calling card.
Yeah.
Like your chick that was shaking over here wasn't just she didn't leave like a mint on your pillow.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
she didn't scratch your name into the wall. So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Weird. All right. I was trying to get that out of you.
I know you were.
Well, I appreciate you showing up
Of course,
and
thanks
hanging
for
out.
having me.
Guess how long it's been?
2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours and 4 minutes, man.
I'm a talker, man.
It goes by fast, though, huh?
It does.
It's fun.
I'm a talker.
I always say that. Do you have social media or anything you want to shout out or anything?
I'm on Instagram. Get stapled.
Cool. It will be in the description,
Yeah.
as always. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Neighbor Podcast. Jake's episode. What comes after Jake's episode? Because you guys will be listening to this one while we'll be out. The following week will be Colby and Michelle. They'll be on October 4th. So we appreciate you guys listening. And I'm sure this won't be the only time Jake will ever be on. So
I'll be back.
Yeah. Thanks, guys, so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.